Welcome to the California Citizens Redistricting Commission as we continue to receive map input from the public. My name is Sarah Sadwani. I'll be your chair for today, along with my colleague, Antonio Lamans, who will serve as vice chair. Let's begin with roll call. Ravi?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Sanai?
Here.
Commissioner Taylor?
I am present.
Commissioner Toledo? Commissioner Turner?
Here.
Commissioner Vasquez?
Here.
Commissioner Yee?
Here.
Commissioner Ahmad?
Here.
Commissioner Akutagawa?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Fernandez?
Presente.
Commissioner Forenshari?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Lamont?
Here.
And Commissioner Sadwani?
Here.
Roll call is complete, Chair.
Thank you, Ravi. Before we get started, I'll just say a few words first about the background on the commission. Every 10 years after the federal government publishes updated census information, California must redraw the boundaries of its congressional, state senate, state assembly, and state board of equalization districts so that the districts correctly reflect the state's population. The 14-member commission is made up of 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and 4 not affiliated with either of these two parties. The commission must draw the district lines in conformity with strict nonpartisan rules designed to create districts of relatively equal population that will provide fair representation for all Californians. For more information, visit our website at wedrawthelinesca.org. Just to provide a little bit of background and overview on these public map input sessions. We began these meetings yesterday on October 21st, and we are continuing today. We'll also meet tomorrow, October 23rd, from 9:30 till 4:30 p.m. What's being presented are public plans. These are presentations of multi-district plans by the public who have an opportunity to showcase their ideas, potential solutions, and specific district boundaries. Some of these plans might even resemble visualizations, such as those that have been created by the Commission, as they'll only be partial plans covering part of the state, while others may cover the entire state and might resemble more full draft plans. We'll start off each day with appointments for presentations and then end the day with feedback to the line drawing team. On Saturday, we'll open for public comment at the end of the meeting. Participation in these meetings is not the only way to submit public district maps to the Commission. Excuse me, the statewide database has created a Draw My California Districts tool. It's an online tool that people can use to create district maps. There's also a free-to-use plugin for the open-source GIS platform, Qgis, where you can submit maps directly to the Commission. To learn more about these tools, visit drawmycalifornia.org. Again, drawmycalifornia.org. A few housekeeping rules for today. We want to remind the public who have appointments to present to please join about 15 minutes in advance of your presentation. Certainly we saw last time some people don't take all of their time, so we might get to you sooner rather than later. We will be sticking to designated times for presentations, and the Commission will be enforcing those designated time limits and will provide a 1-minute warning and 30 seconds remaining. Throughout the day, we'll be seeing a variety of different kinds of submissions. Small submissions have 1 to 3 district maps. Those are 6-minute presentations. Medium submissions have 4 or more district maps, but not a statewide map. Those are limited to 15-minute presentations. Large submissions include one full statewide map, and those are 30-minute presentations. And finally, there are extra large submissions, which offer more than one statewide map. And those are 45-minute presentations. The Commission has enabled screen sharing for presenters, so please have your maps handy to enable screen sharing at the beginning of your presentation. Your timer will start after your screen has been shared. The Commission also chose not to ask questions of presenters, so there will not be any follow-up by commissioners after the presentations. With that, I'll turn it over to Katie, our fabulous comment moderator, to kick us off for the day.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Welcome to the public map input session. When it is your turn to speak, you will be identified by your assigned unique ID number. You will be reconnected to the session with the ability to enable your own video and/or audio, and to enable screen sharing. Please have your maps handy prior to your appointment start time in order to enable screen sharing. The Commission will be enforcing appointment time limits with a warning at 1 minute and a warning at 30 seconds remaining. At the end of your public input or at the end of your time, you will be reconnected in a listen and view only mode. Right now we will have PMI 017. I will be promoting you now. PMI 017, you can now enable your audio and video in the lower left corner of your screen, and screen sharing is in the bottom center. If you will please share your maps. Perfect. And we do see your presentation there. The floor is yours.
Yes, my name is Bill Teeter. I live in Encinitas, northern San Diego County, and I want to go over a presentation. I noticed just the other day that what's posted with this presentation is not what I sent up. We were told to send in a narrative, which I subsequently changed, and that is available at public input 13318. And then the rest of it appears to be, we were told to submit shapefiles, and what showed up is some red outlines that are virtually unreadable. They have no district maps. What I'm going to present here, I have also uploaded. I have some screenshots from the map tool. I used the Qgis tool and the print function from the CA Draw plugin, which provides much better maps. So this will be up there. I do not have a number yet, but it will be under my name somewhere on public input. So I initially looked at one problem, and that problem only is the congressional map and going from 53 to 52. So how do you do that? And I know there's a lot of input on visualizations and redrawing and communities of interest, but you're under the very much time crunch. So my approach was look at the districts that are currently here, because I believe the folks that your predecessors 10 years ago did a pretty good job of dividing up the districts, following basically the same rules you have, and that those districts have become de facto communities of interest because people work together in those in those districts on what they're interested in. So I wanted to look at what would be the best approach to finding a district that we would drop. Now, I know that's not very palatable to the people in that district, but I think I can show you, if you do it right, you have a very good argument for that being the least disruptive approach. So what I did is I quickly looked at the map and looked for districts that are geographically compact, because if they're compact geographically, there's a better chance that the people in the surrounding districts would have the same kind of community interests from that area. And so there are several candidates. 4 I found, 2 are in the north. One up by District 7 up by Sacramento. And I also looked at districts that were surrounded by at least four other districts, because they would have to absorb that population from that district if you eliminated that district. So 7 is surrounded by 4. Unfortunately, it is, and the 17th in San Jose both have relatively positive population deviations, and so do the surrounding districts. So there's no headroom, if you will, for those surrounding districts to absorb if you did away with one of those districts. So I looked at two others that are in the Los Angeles area, the 32nd and the 40th, both surrounded by other districts. And all those districts themselves and all the surrounding districts have a negative population deviation, which means they're under the standard population for what a district should be in the new distribution. The 40th is also kind of unique, and it's actually touched by 6 other districts, all of which have a substantial negative deviation. So I kind of focused on the 40th and looked at what could you do to distribute the population of the 40th in a very equitable way to the other surrounding districts, to kind of bring them up to speed and hopefully have a common area, since it's all the Los Angeles Central Valley area. So this is a screenshot from the Qgis tool, and you can kind of see the districts. It doesn't do a lot of contrast, very good contrast, but I've highlighted some of the numbers so you can see that the 40th is the one, the gray in the middle, and it's surrounded by districts that have a fairly high negative deviation. So each 1%, of course, is about 7,600 people. So you can kind of get a feel for their ability to absorb the 40th and come up to the population they need to be. Also, you'll see down here the 33rd district. The 33rd district is a coastal district, but I used it because there's a finger for some reason gropes back in, touching the 34th district and the 37th district. And it's because it's negative, I could also use it to absorb some of the population. So that's where I started. And after deleting that, the tool allows you to delete a district and then redistribute their census blocks. I used primarily geographic boundaries, the interstates and other geographic measures to redistribute into the districts you see here. And this is the result. Now this can be modified significantly depending on how you do it. But you can see that there's no district that absorbed population that is over 10% positive over. The 44th is the largest. It is now over by 8.36%. Now that would have to be addressed. But the other districts are reasonable. You can see that, like the 32nd, which I didn't touch, I actually ended up only modifying 9 districts, including the 40th. The 32nd is minus 6.89. So you could see if you went further, you could take 3% from here and move it there, and 2% from here, and then the same thing with the 27th and the 28th. So you could further modify this to get within at least a target range. Now, I don't know what the threshold is for acceptable deviation if the board has set one. Obviously, 5% is probably more of a deviation than you want. So you'd have to continue to work on this. And I started to do that, and I wanted to start using communities of interest overlays. But it turns out the way things are set up in the tool, a person of the public like myself can only use overlays that you draw yourself. And I know there's a lot of overlays on communities of interest, but apparently they're not accessible to general people of the public. So what happens to the stats if you do this? So here is by congressional districts before and after for both deviation and percent Latino, because Latino representation is very high in this area. So the population deviation you already saw, the highest one again being the 44th district, which goes to 8.36. So obviously you'd have to work on these a bit more to align them with whatever the threshold was. Now the 40th, besides being surrounded by 6, it also had another feature that points to it being sort of redistributed, and that's its percent Latino. It's 87%. Now, I know you're familiar with the term packing and cracking. I don't know what the exact threshold is for a district being called packing, but I would imagine 87% Latino is probably getting pretty close. So even if you didn't want to break up the 40th to answer the question about dropping a district, you'd probably have to redistribute some of its population simply to avoid the packing issue for the 40th. So those are the stats. Later on the slides, they show more stats and the other districts itself. So just a summary, what I thought the advantages, and no particular order here. First of all, I know you're going to face an issue with time, and you need to converge on a set of maps, and you need to be able to get those maps accepted. And see, since this is a simple numeric approach, it's purely based on numbers and geography. It's not based on any partisan concepts. I have no idea who represents any of these districts. It's more likely, I think, to be accepted by the people of California. The small area of the 40th district means adjoining edges of the surrounding districts are more likely to hold common interests. They're in the valley, smog, traffic. I mean, those are going to be some of the common interests of those surrounding districts. The negative population of the 40th and the surrounding districts mean that you can delete it and have the population readily absorbed. Now, there's still outliers, but it would continue to be worked. It eliminates a packed district. I don't know if that's a consideration. It does create one majority Latino district that what didn't exist before, the 43rd. Now, not by much, but if you continue to work on this, you could probably improve that. And increase Latino representation in 6 other districts. It also simplifies renumbering of the districts. I don't know if this is an issue, but I like to keep things simple. So for me, if I knew that, okay, I used to be in the 40th, but now I'm in the 41st or something, then that would be more acceptable to me as the people of California. First, they may be in a different district than they were before. And of course, if you renumber them so that they don't even know the number, this simply simplifies that. So the next series of slides is, again, I don't know what those PDFs are that are out there on the database for this presentation, but this is the output of the print function in the Qgis tool under the Draw CA plugin. So this is the 34th, and you can see it gives you a little more contrast. It gives you the city boundaries, and also gives you some statistics. So you can kind of look at not only Latino, but the other representations. This is the 37th, the 38th. It's kind of in the middle, a lot of small cities. The 43rd. And then the 44th, and I'm sorry the tool didn't draw the district number where it's supposed to be, but it's the blue vertical district in the middle there, Carson City, Compton City, and you can see those statistics. Now it ends up as growing in Latino population to 75, and again, I don't know what the threshold is for being a packed district or whether that's a problem. It also has a large population that somehow you need to cross level. 47th, unfortunately, the tool draws it on the island of Catalina when really most of it is in the landward side of 47th. And that is the end of that. Go on to the tool for just a minute. So here again is the area I redrew. So again, I wanted to, obviously there's some statistics that there's some areas that need to be evaluated or adjusted. And I wanted to start using communities of interest to do so. I have no idea if, I-70, one side people have different interests than the other side of I-70. I just used it as a geographic boundary, the same as north of I-10 or south of I-10. So continue to work, but I cannot get to any approved, if there are such a thing, communities of interest overlays, although I was told that the tool was capable of doing that. So at this point, I was gonna, that's all I have. I wanted to open it up for any questions, but I guess those aren't allowed. I also submitted some other districts for Assembly and Senate, but there's no change. So you can kind of ignore them. My whole idea was that I think that it's gonna be very difficult to get acceptable new districts starting from scratch in the time available. And I believe that the state would be best served by continuing to use the current districts for 2020 and using the new districts that you're working on after the 2020 election, because you'd have time to not only refine them and converge them, but also gain public acceptance of them. I don't know how you do that. I know the commission is under constraints, but that's my particular view. I think that it'd be better to have 8 years of districts that are very widely accepted rather than 10 years of districts that are drawn with such a rush that they'll never be accepted for the 10 years. And as I understand it, there's a precedent in that in 1990, I guess Congress decided to defer reapportionment for 10 years. So if Congress could do it for 10 years, I don't know why the state couldn't do it for 2. So that's my presentation. I don't know if it helps. I hope it does. Gave you some ideas. I'd like to continue to work on it, but I'll give back my time, the little that I have left, to the next person. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Teeter. Just in regards to your concerns about the documents that have been posted, please do feel free to send your presentation to the Voters First Act at crc.ca.gov. That's our email address, and they can be posted so that everyone has access to them. Again, it's Voters First Act at crc.ca.gov. Thank you so much.
And right now we will have PMI 018, and then up next after that will be PMI 019A, and then PMI 019B and C will be joining A. Right now we will have PMI 018. I will be promoting you. PMI 018, you can now enable your audio and video in the lower left corner of your screen. And if you'll please share your maps. One moment. Hi, if you'll please share your maps prior to you beginning your narrative.
Okay, hang on a second. This is Brian Holloway.
Wonderful.
And I'm trying to find my exhibit, which I'm having a little trouble finding.
Well, do not feel rushed.
Can you hear me?
We sure can, and do not feel rushed. We are slightly ahead of schedule. Can you hear me?
Can you confirm that I'm on?
I can confirm that you are on. You may want to check yours.
So looks like I'm not going to be able to share my exhibit. It's just a map, which I'll describe in a minute. So
Just a moment.
One moment.
Just a moment.
Thank you
One
for
moment.
allowing me to
Sir,
provide testimony.
Sir, one moment. We can
Yes.
share your map for you. Just one moment.
Oh, that's it. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
There you go. The floor is yours.
Oh, all right. So thank you again for allowing me to testify today. My name is Brian Holloway, and I'm a resident of the city of Sacramento. I've lived in Sacramento since 1950, born and raised here, started my family here, started a business here. But in addition to that, I'm also a elected trustee of the American River Flood Control District. So today I'm here to request that you keep the area of Sacramento that sits in the floodplain together in one district. And the map here that I'm showing you is the outline is the city of Sacramento. And you can see that almost all of the city of Sacramento is included in the floodplain. The different colors represent different areas of risk within the floodplain, but this is basically the floodplain, and it covers most of the city of Sacramento. So to keep it in one federal district is extremely important. Since the city of Sacramento was founded, it's worked hard to fortify its flood protection system. The city of Sacramento used to flood regularly before the levees were built. And we have two rivers that bisect the city of Sacramento. The American River, which is sort of the green squiggly line that you see, and then the left side is the Sacramento River. So For example, our downtown is actually adjacent to both of those rivers. And they not only provide us with beauty and recreation, but also great peril during high water events. We're one of the highest at-risk communities in the nation for flooding. Fortunately, over many decades of work by our local, state, and especially our federal government, our flood protection now is strong, but it needs to be stronger in the decades to come. This flood protection system consists of tall levees, wide bypasses, and multiple weirs that convey the floodwaters from the river into the bypasses that go to the San Francisco Bay Area and out to the ocean. Millions and millions of dollars have been invested in our system already. We're grateful for this investment, but because it keeps Sacramento safe and our residents can sleep better at night knowing they're protected. Our state and federal representatives have worked hand in hand for many years with our flood agency, the SAFCA, Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency, which I also sit on, and also our other local flood districts, RD 1000 and my district, American River Flood Control District. The majority of our flood protection comes from the federal government. Most of that funding is from the federal government. These projects are far too expensive for local agencies like SAFCA and American River to ever afford to build on their own. For these reasons, I request that your commission keep the floodplain area in Sacramento together in one district at both the state and federal levels. We need to finish this critical work that we've begun, because we're working to try and go from what was 500-year risk to to go from 100-year risk to 500-year risk, which is the highest level of protection that could be provided. I want to thank the commissioners for allowing me to share my testimony today. And do you have any questions?
Unfortunately, we are not taking any questions at this time.
Okay.
But thank you so much for this presentation, Mr. Holloway. This is great.
And I'd like to pass any additional time on to the next presenter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Right now, we will have PMI 019A. I believe that's all we have with us at this time from that group. So PMI 019A, and then up next will be PMI 020. PMI 019A, I will be promoting you now. PMI 019, you can now enable your audio and video. Hello, I see a team there. Are you all of the people that were listed in the lines PMI 0190, the A, B, and C? Yes?
Yes, we're all together. Yes, we're all together.
Perfect. And we see your maps here at headquarters, so the floor is yours.
Great, thank you very much. My name is Allison Lafferty, and we're here to present to you why we believe that the Commission should keep San Joaquin County together. So, numerous members of the Business Council of San Joaquin County and its community partners retained the services of a professional mapping company to help prepare the maps that you see here on the screen. And we will present to you a congressional district, which encompasses the San Joaquin County entirely. We have a state district and completely nested assembly districts, which we will go through in this presentation. We also submitted a written narrative to the Commission describing why we believe that San Joaquin County represents a unique community of interest and why the county should be kept together. These maps were created with input from a diverse coalition of community members with one primary goal in mind. We wanted to find a way to keep San Joaquin County together because the county together is stronger. In August, San Joaquin County, with the help of a market research firm, surveyed its residents to get a sense of what was important to the residents of San Joaquin County during this redistricting process. The residents were asked what was important to their community, and the survey results show that the most important issues for the community are preserving and enhancing agriculture, preserving and protecting the Delta water and water quality issues. And the residents also felt that housing affordability and accessibility and homelessness were extremely important issues to be addressed. These are the types of issues that are unique to San Joaquin County. The issues may be similar in the Bay Area, but they are distinct, especially with respect to agriculture and water issues. And we are looking, the residents of San Joaquin County are looking to have a unified voice on those issues. The challenges that San Joaquin County faces with respect to housing affordability and accessibility are unique to San Joaquin County given its socioeconomic status. So I have here today with me Ken Vogel, and he's going to provide his views on this subject.
Thank you for the opportunity to again address your commission. My name is Ken Vogel, a retired county supervisor, retired school principal, and board of directors of our local farm bureau. I have been part of the agricultural community in this county for 57 years. I am part of a group spearheaded by the Business Council of San Joaquin County that has reached out to many diverse groups to propose these revised district configurations that we bring before you today. We feel that our county is unique in several different ways. A survey done by San Joaquin County, as you've heard, learned the top two issues in our county as agriculture and water, which are very understandable as we are an agricultural-based economy with almost $6 billion being contributed to the economy through the production of 200 different crops and the processing, marketing, and transportation of these products and all the related support industries involved. By the way, yesterday was National Apple Day, and San Joaquin County produced 28,300 tons of apples last year. We are also unique in that San Joaquin County has become a major distribution hub for all kinds of products that arrive here by truck, mail, air, and water. We have our own airport, unrestricted as to usage as some urban airports are. We have our own port that connects us to ocean transport. We have a huge intermodal yard of the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad that connects to all our major roadways, and also the Union Pacific Intermodal Yard in Lathrop with access to I-5. The major roadways are I-5, 99, and I-205. We also have 4 state highways connecting us to our mother lode neighbors, 88, 26, 12, and 4. We have a tremendous boom in warehouse capacity based upon this distribution network, and the local job opportunities here in our county are growing. All of the things I have mentioned work to unite San Joaquin County in shared interests and caring for each other. There was tremendous support among our county's varied population groups for the new Veterans Clinic that was advocated for a number of years and is finally under construction. This clinic will serve veterans from our county and other areas and save them from the long drive of veteran services that now exist. We have private volunteer groups who, with the support of various business groups, reach out to help the needy with regular food distribution in many areas. I submit to you that these activities unite us in caring for the welfare of our citizens, just as our agricultural basis unites our economy. San Joaquin County unity is the source of our strength. We genuinely care for each other and are willing to sacrifice to help our further neighbors. Based upon this unity, we have proposed the maps that are now before you to represent the people of our county and other areas that we share a common economic and Central Valley interest with. 1, San Joaquin County can be included in its own congressional district. 2, San Joaquin County can be included in the 5th Senate District as it is now exists with some minor changes from 2010. San Joaquin County can have 2 assembly districts nested in the Senate District as was first suggested as a model in 2010. These maps are very similar to those proposed by the San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors. Our group participated in advisory meetings with the county and appreciate so much their effort. The differences are, to make the population work for the Congressional District, we detached the community of Mountain House on our western border in its entirety. We wanted to respect the integrity of this community. We also attached this community from the assembly districts to make the numbers work. To be consistent, we need the same in the formation of the 5th Senate District. We suggested a shift of the 5th Senate District to the south so that it would be only inclusive of San Joaquin County and parts of Stanislaus County, instead of having a 3rd county involved. We hope that you will seriously give consideration to these proposals, as the Business Council has reached out to many community groups to find some common ground for our proposals. Thank you.
We wanted to review the maps with you briefly so you had some information about how these maps were drawn. And as you can see from the data and demographics of each of the maps drawn, careful consideration was taken to ensure the maps meet the Commission's criteria. As you can see, the districts are contiguous. They keep San Joaquin County together. They are drawn to minimize divisions of cities and neighborhoods. The districts are compact. The population areas are not bypassed. Census blocks are not split. The 2 proposed assembly districts for San Joaquin County nest completely within the Senate district. The maps we propose also reflect the natural physical barriers that define San Joaquin County. The Sacramento River Delta and the Altamont to the north, Sacramento River Delta to the north, the Altamont to the west, open agricultural lands to the north, and the foothills to the east, and the lands of the Stanislaus River and open agricultural land to the south. If you look at our congressional district, it is almost a perfect size to fit San Joaquin County. We were able to draw the lines consistent with the existing boundaries and in order to meet the population. The only community that was excluded was Mountain House. We excluded Mountain House due to the similarities with the Bay Area. San Joaquin median income is approximately $74,000, and we have experienced a 24% increase in the median home prices, and our rents have soared, the nation's 2nd highest, where Mountain House is more in line with Bay Area pricing. The population for this proposed district, as you can see, is 758,483. The next map we present to you is the State Senate District. It's very similar to the prior district. We kept San Joaquin County together whole, and we added some areas of Stanislaus County, the most similar of the areas. We were careful to use major landmark of Highway 99 as a border, as well as keeping the smaller rural cities in Stanislaus County whole. We included Stanislaus County as opposed to a Bay Area county because of the similarities in the agriculture, workforce, and the demographics of the population. And now looking at the assembly districts, District A, we put together the agricultural areas of northeastern Stanislaus County with the agricultural areas of San Joaquin County, keeping the more similarly situated agricultural areas together in one district. Assembly District B includes the city of Stockton as a whole and is joined with the city of Tracy, the more urban areas of San Joaquin County. We were very aware of the components of our community, and based on the data provided, we found 23.3% of the population is foreign born, and 40.9% of the homes speak primarily a language other than English. Also, concerns regarding housing affordability and accessibility lead us to the conclusion that this District B is in the best interest of the community. In 2010, the Senate District for San Joaquin County was kept together for the first time. And as a result of that, progress was made. We are asking that that progress be allowed to continue, that we allow for local representation at both the state and federal level. This will directly benefit the lives of the citizens of San Joaquin County. We worked very hard to put together a Senate, congressional, and 2 assembly districts that fairly represent the people of our diverse communities. These maps will ensure equal representation at the state and federal level and ensure San Joaquin County prospers and has the ability for a better tomorrow. We thank you for giving us this opportunity to present to you today, and we will release the rest of our time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right now we will have PMI 020. I'll be promoting you now. PMI020, you can now enable your audio and video. And if you will please share your maps prior to beginning your narrative.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, let me go ahead and pull up my maps and we can go ahead and get started.
Absolutely.
All right.
And we see you. The floor is yours.
Good morning. My name is Marisa Moraza and I'm here with Power California. I'm happy to be here today and appreciate the opportunity to participate in today's meeting and the opportunity to engage with the Commission. So just a bit of background on Power California. Power California's mission is to harness the energy of young voters of color and their families to create a state that is equitable, inclusive, and just for everyone who calls California home. Power California is a statewide organization and also has youth membership bases in Fresno and Merced counties, and our maps will be presenting assembly districts in those areas in particular. The largest voting bloc in the Central Valley is young Latinx Black AAPI voters who are 26 and younger, and their voter turnout is continuing to increase. I myself am born and raised in the Central Valley and now live in Fresno, and I work closely with young people ages 16 to 24 in the Fresno and Merced areas. Today, I'm sharing 2 assembly maps for the Central Valley. The Central Valley is growing, and maps here reflect this growth amongst communities of color, working class, and immigrant communities. These maps take into consideration the issues and concerns the Central Valley faces, from agricultural environmental impacts, labor and farm working communities concerns, transportation infrastructure, and sprawling development across Fresno and Merced County. So presented here are considerations for creating VRA districts in the Central Valley, showcasing 2 possibilities here centered around a Fresno urban core area and a West Fresno and Merced County district. We have worked with partner organizations to align on priorities of racial justice, building multiracial districts, and keeping communities of interest together. And in particular, maps were created for the California Black Census and Redistricting Hub by USC Equity Research Institute. So I'll go ahead and begin with this first map here labeled 8031, which does have a Latino CVAP of 50.58%. And so this map centers around an urban core. And in Fresno, there is north-south divides. It's often named the Tale of Two Cities. And this usually runs across Shaw Avenue, which I'm highlighting here. Apologize for any background noise, this is a lawnmower. So zip codes in South Fresno, so below this line here, have worse air quality, lower life expectancy, higher poverty levels, and higher rates of chronic illness. And in fact, the new CalEnviro Screener 4.0 shows South Fresno, West Fresno, in addition to Fowler here, Selma, and Sanger, in the 90th percentile for environmental burdens. And actually, most of these communities rank in the 95th to 99th percentile. In particular, the West Fresno neighborhood, so right here, kind of spliced along the 99 and the 41, is ranked as California's census tract most burdened by environmental pollution. And West Park, just to the west of that, a more rural neighborhood just outside city limits, shares similar concerns in addition to infrastructure needs and water concerns as well. And so this Fresno area presented here in this map has high needs and has been impacted by a legacy of environmental racism, discriminatory housing and policy practices, and neglect from elected leaders. Another key point is this map keeps Black, Hmong, and Latino community of interest together while also keeping together working class populations in a district that has more in common with each other versus North Fresno and Clovis, which is more affluent and sprawling as well. There's also been many comments submitted about having Old Fig, West Fresno connected and to keep intact Black communities of interest, and that is presented here in this map as well. Lastly, there's this map also takes into consideration different education systems and districts. And so Fresno City College, Fresno Pacific University, and new West Fresno Community Campus, and Fresno State up here in the Northwest are intact, and the priority is to not dilute votes for young people and include the university and surrounding student housing. So moving to our next map. So here in Merced County, we continue to move west from that Fresno core district, and this has a Latino CVAP of 53.88%. Here, there are many disparities and inequalities that impact communities of color, immigrants, working class families, such as environmental issues, as pesticide runoff, poor air quality, concerns about labor, housing shortages, affordability, infrastructure concerns, and transportation. And so here we do have the 5 and the 99 as connecting thoroughways that are included in this area as well. And we do have communities from Fresno County, such as Reedley, Kingsford, Riverdale, Carruthers, Huron, and Kalinga included in this map. And then we continue to move up across West Fresno County. And then, of course, the western boundary is the Coastal Mountain Range. So it's important to note this Assembly District maintains farm worker communities of colors in West Fresno. And then moving to the northern part, it is important for community members that Atwater, Merced, and Winton are kept together in a district together with the rest of Merced County versus Delhi and Turlock. And that smaller, fast-growing, and largely communities of colors be grouped together with surrounding communities in the Merced County facing similar challenges and opportunities. And then the city of Merced continues to grow in population with UC Merced as a growing hub. And it's important that the city of Merced be kept whole and in the district with the university. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate this opportunity and hope to continue to engage in conversation.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
And that is all of our presentations at this time.
Okay, so at this point in time, we are going to go on an extended break. I believe we have a cancellation in this morning's lineup of appointments. So we will be on break and coming back at 11:15. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll come back at 11:15 for session 2. Welcome back to the California Citizens Redistricting Commission as we continue to receive public map input for those with appointments. I believe we have a full schedule, so I am going to turn it over to Katie, our comment moderator, to kick us off.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair. Welcome to the public map input session. When it is your turn to speak, you will be identified by your assigned unique ID number. You will be reconnected to the session with the ability to enable your own video and or audio. To enable screen sharing. Please have your maps handy prior to your appointment start time in order to enable screen sharing. The Commission will be enforcing appointment time limits with a warning at 1 minute and a warning at 30 seconds remaining. At the end of your public input or at the end of your time, you will be reconnected in a listen and view only mode. And right now, we will have PMI 21B. I will be promoting you now. PMI 021B. You can now enable your audio and video. If you will please share your maps prior to beginning your narrative, that will begin your time.
Nice haircut.
Good morning. Can you hear me and see the slides?
We sure can. Thank you so much.
Is it regular mode or presenter mode?
It is in, it looks like it's in presenter mode.
Actually, that looks correct.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning or early afternoon, commissioners. My name is Stephen Ochoa. I am Maldives National Redistricting Coordinator. And I'm here to, this is the first of 2 back-to-back sessions for Maldives. And so combined, we're here to present our statewide assembly plan and our statewide congressional plan. For those of you who don't know, Maldives in the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, we are a nonprofit civil rights law firm. We call ourselves the Lawyers for the Latino Community. Founded in 1968, we have been working on voting rights and redistricting issues since our founding over 50 years ago. Maldives is a national organization with a national redistricting program where we have a multiple state strategy from coast to coast, and we pair demographers, attorneys, and GIS demographers, attorneys, and coordinators to help the Latino community with a specific focus on giving or increasing opportunities to elect candidates of choice at all levels of jurisdiction. Specifically in California, Maldives has been very active this cycle. We have been co-hosting or hosting at over 16 workshops, community education workshops, and these workshops are important because not only do they educate the community, but they also give us they give us a chance to receive public input, which informs some of our mapping decisions. We also provide community technical assistance in the form of mapping support or map analysis, and we are part of many statewide collaborations tables. We're part of the Unity Mapping Table. We're part of the Redistricting CA Coalition Collaborative, and we have very many local partners for very local redistricting. So I think it's important just to set the stage for what's to come over the next hour. What are the mapping principles of Maldives? And it's very simple. Maldives draws for the Constitution, for the U.S. law, for federal law, the federal voting rights in particular, and then respecting as many communities of interest as possible, as complying with the laws above, allow. These communities of interest input are informed by our workshops and our collaborations. And obviously, once a jurisdiction completes its plans, passes its plans, if necessary, if we have litigated in the past. And these are some examples of some key redistricting litigations that we've done relevant to California and or the Voting Rights Act. What are our mapping goals for this California redistricting cycle? What are our California goals for 2021? Obviously, to comply with the US and California law. And then within that, to develop a plan that respects California's demographics. And specifically, we very much want all California statewide plans to reflect the Latino population growth. And specifically, this Latino population growth has been driven by increases in citizen voting age population. This is a time series of ACS data over the last 10 years. And yes, the Latino population is growing, which is represented by the bar at the top, the total population. But you can see by the lines at the bottom, our kids are not growing. Our non-citizen adults are not growing in California. Our population growth, according to the ACS, has been fueled by growth in citizen voting age population. That is growth of population that could become eligible voters. So this is something that is very important, that overall, your California plans reflect this new demographic and potential reality. So that said, very quickly, I want to do an overview of the two plans and then dive specifically into Assembly. Afterwards, my colleagues will join me for the second session to go through our congressional plan. Also overall, I just want to make sure because I'm going to be using these terms throughout the presentation. I want to make clear the distinction between what I call a Latino majority district, a Latino opportunity district, and a Latino influence district. Latino majority district is a district where Latinos comprise 50% plus one of the citizen voting age population, or CVAP. And these districts may be mandated by the Federal Voting Rights Act, depending on additional analysis. A Latino opportunity district is a district in which Latinos can effectively elect a candidate of choice. Now, there are situations here in California and across the nation where Latinos can elect a candidate of choice in a district under 50% CVAP. And then there are plenty of situations here in California and across the nation where Latinos have over 50% of the CVAP, but are still not able to elect a candidate of choice. So when we do our map analysis, it is not only just looking for the voting rights standards and prong one, which is the first of many steps of voting rights compliance, but we're also looking at the effectiveness, which also can feed into the VRA as well. So what are the contributing factors? It could be registration and votes cast rate, could be RPV, it could be the election system. I also just recall that California now has a top 2 primary system, which does affect communities' abilities to elect candidates of choice. And finally, we do have Latino influence districts. And these are districts where Latinos are not the majority population, but they can still substantially influence the election and hopefully and influence the decisions of the elected representative. So with that said, I want you to understand the Maldives plans, Congress and Assembly, The congressional plan has a total population range of 6 people, that's plus or minus 3 people, and it contains 16 majority CVAP districts. It also contains 3 new Latino opportunity districts. And our assembly plan has a population range of 5.91% and contains 24 Latino majority CVAP districts. And that includes 5 new opportunity districts for the Latino community. So with that comparison said, let's dive straight into the assembly plan for the rest of this time. So as I stated, overall, in compliance with our, the criteria of the commission, our plan deviation is within acceptable tolerance for a assembly plan of 5.91%. Regarding VRA compliance, we have developed 24 total Latino majority CVAP districts compared to the current plan. The benchmark, which is the current plan, has 17. And we can compared to benchmark, 5 new Latino opportunity districts. Our districts are contiguous, and we did our best to preserve as many community of interest cities and/or counties as possible, dependent on complying with total population and voting rights compliance needs. And many of those COIs were informed by our partnerships and our workshops. And then nesting, or we're talking about assembly, it's not nestiness. We didn't complete a Senate plan at this time, although we will submit one eventually, and a report will just have to speak for itself. You're going to find that you're going to have many similar map architecture points between the assembly and the congressional plan. These are the 24 Latino CVAP districts in our plan. Just note our numbering, while we did our best to match the numbering to the current benchmark districts, that was based primarily for ease of public in comparison. When you complete your work at some point, you will renumber districts as the law requires. But this does list which ones are new majority CVAP and or new Latino opportunity districts. And these are our 7 influence districts, which I will be going through in great detail right now. So overall, again, our statewide plan, you'll see, I'll be having some various regional comparisons. When you see a regional comparison, the benchmark current plans are on the left, the Maldives plan is on the right. The red areas are Latino majority CVAP districts. The pink are under 50, so we'll call them influence districts. And these blue districts that you'll see, those are districts that various other partners have given to us. For time's sake, I cannot go through all 80 assembly districts and all 52 congressional districts. So I'm not going to be talking about those today. I'm going to be talking about the Latino districts of interest at this time being. But just note, in our California plans, we did our best to incorporate other regional partners' maps, and they might not be exact matches, but we did our best to try to incorporate them where we could. And these are important districts of interest to other communities that we try to respect. Although I will not be talking about them here, they are part of the map architecture that we are trying to develop. So that's it. Let's go directly into our assembly plan. So let's focus first on the Central Valley and Central Coast, Central California. This area, particularly the Central Valley, had just significant total population and Latino citizen voting age population growth. You can see on the left, the current plan only has, between the Central Coast and Valley, had 3 Latino majority districts and 4 influence districts. The Maldives plan creates 4 Latino majority districts, plus additional 2 influence districts. 2 out of those 4 districts are additional. All 4 are opportunities. 2 of them are new opportunities, in which we feel that this body would be compelled to include in your plan. Our District 13, starting north to south, is Stockton-based. Did our best to keep it wholly within Stockton, or with San Joaquin, California, and Stockton whole, with some surrounding cities running north-south along the 5 and 91. I believe. So that's, so this is a influence district. It's at 32% CVAP. The district south of that is what we call 23, is also not an influence district. This is actually a very significant influence district. This is done, in the Central Valley, we had various partners, including the CNC and Dolores Huerta Foundation, giving us a lot of guidance. But this is a district we feel is a very strong influence district on its way to being a Latino majority district, after some time. But these have the majority areas of Ceres, parts of Modesto, Manteca, Lathrop, and Tracy to the north, and parts of Tulare City, and parts of Modesto City, which basically run along the 99 freeway. This is a very significant Latino influence district. South of that is one of our new Latino majority and new Latino opportunity districts. This is a Merced-based, this is a Merced to West Fresno County district. This is the entire county of Merced with parts of Madera City, which was Western Madera County, including Madera City and Chowchilla. And then going down into West Fresno, but not Fresno, not the Fresno City urban area, primarily the western part of Fresno County. A lot of farming towns, a lot of rural areas, and Merced based as well. CD26 to the south of that is an additional new Latino majority and opportunity district. This is primarily a Tulare-based district. It takes most of the western part of Tulare County with most of Kings County and a little bit of Fresno County, just for top population and voting rights compliance needs. Specifically, I want to call attention to, there's a corridor in Tulare and Kings that are basically between routes 198 and 187. And those corridors help remove some key parts of Tulare City, Visalia City, and Hanford. These are areas after doing some analysis on elections returns and talking with community partners, and community organizers that felt that these are areas that just do not support Latino candidates of choice. So removing these areas, while hard, are necessary to make this district an effective district, and not only a majority, but an opportunity as well. And then finally, along the Central Coast, we're maintaining another district that is basically interior Monterey plus San Benito County. And it does go all the way up to Gilroy and San Martin in South Santa Clara County. This is another district that should be continued to be maintained. The interior county has long been separated from the coastal communities in Monterey County in the past for various voting rights reasons, and it has helped keep these communities voting together. Historically, they've been voting together for decades to elect candidates of choice. Going back into the Central Valley, though, Metro Fresno, we are able to make this district actually more compact compared to the current district, but it's basically, this district now is Metro Fresno based with a little bit of the farm towns in Selma, towards the Selma region. We basically split Fresno roughly along Golden State Road and west, and kind of, then moving along, generally speaking, around Ashland Avenue. We took great care to try to incorporate the Sunnyside Farms among community of interest that was described to us by our friends at Asian American Advancing Justice and many of our partners on the ground, like Dolores Huerta Foundation and CNC, said, they would like to be paired with them as well. And we were able to do that, and in a way that keeps this a Latino majority and opportunity district for Fresno, and centered in Fresno, where before it was a much more expansive area. And finally, in the Central Valley, we have now another district to maintain. And this district previously went up north to Tulare County, but population growth and CVAC growth have allowed it to now stay totally within Kern. And so this is a Kern County-based district. It's 50% to majority district and an opportunity. And it maintains many of the areas that have been litigated in the past. So the parts of Bakersfield, the farm towns of McFarland and Delano towards the north. These are obviously great areas of interest to us as MALDEF, given our recent Kern County Board of Supervisor litigation in 2016. And we worked with the Dolores Huerta Foundation and other partners who really focused on Bakersfield specifically to help us make some of these edits to where are respectful and cuts to make this maintain this as an effective opportunity district. And that was the Central Coast. The next region, which obviously is clearly the easiest region to talk about is the Los Angeles County, the Southern California, Los Angeles area. So this is probably the biggest, probably the biggest puzzle that you will have to to figure out in all your redistricting plans. Los Angeles County in particular has an area is very, very diverse. It has many communities which have many VRA considerations, but it also had an area. It was also an area that was needing total population after the census. So many of these benchmark districts you saw on the left will need it to physically expand to capture enough total population. So that plus the VRA considerations, plus the various underrepresented communities who want to keep their communities of interest together, really makes for a complex puzzle to try to detangle. And we feel, and Maldives feels we found a reasonable way to untangle this that not only respects the county, but respects all these communities who have historically been fighting for and trying to maintain their communities of interest. Before I get into LA County proper, let me talk about just the surrounding areas. First, we drew a very strong influence district in the Ventura County. It was very, very important to our communities, frankly, 10 years ago and today, to draw the farm towns of, Piru, Fillmore, et cetera, all the way down towards the Oxnard, Port Hueneme communities of interest. That's a central core that makes this for a very, very strong influence district. You can see it's almost 44% Latino CVAP. The current benchmark actually separates these farm towns from the Oxnard area. And that is just, you have, I'm sure, already received significant community interest input to create a district like this. And we at Maldives absolutely feel this is a new influence district that should be maintained. And obviously that district also gets the Ventura Islands. A new, outside of the LA Metro area, a new opportunity district, a new majority district is in the kind of Palmdale towards a high desert community. This is a new 50% CVAP district, 50.63%, according to statewide database data. And we pair basically the portions of Palmdale, Lancaster that are east of Route 14 with as many of the communities, high desert communities in the Victorville, Hesperia, Adelanto area. There were some total population constraints. Obviously, we would have added more communities if we could, but the total population constraints and the VRA constraints forced us to try to follow make some cuts. And we did our best to make the cuts along either city lines or major roads in a respectful manner. But we believe this is a new opportunity for the Latino community in the high desert and Palmdale, Lancaster area. But moving more actual proper LA Metro with a touch of Orange County. LA County was a hard nut. In LA Metro, the benchmark had 9 majority districts, 2 of which are historically elected African-American candidates of choice, and 1 influence. The Maldives plan creates 10 majority CVAP districts, plus an influence district in Orange County, and it maintains a new opportunity, and it creates a new opportunity for us. And it maintains historic districts that have elected African-American candidates of choice and respects the Asian American VRA interests and some of the various communities of interest throughout the county. That was a lot to unpack, that I will go through them in detail. But we believe this is a good solution towards the LA County puzzle that you should incorporate. Going specifically district by district. First, 39, which is in the San Fernando Valley. This is a current district. The current area actually has 1 district, and you can now have 2 50% CVAP districts. This is one configuration where we put Pacoima, Arleta, and all the way down through Van Nuys and Winnetka, Lake Balboa. So this area, we did our best to respect communities of interest, neighborhood boundaries as community of interest proxies, but in a way which are important certainly in LA City redistricting. And this was a way to draw a 50% district in concert with its new neighbor to the north. This would be new Assembly District 43, which is now anchored by Sylmar and San Fernando City, and then going through the North Hills communities, and then towards and then west towards the Canoga Park area. So this is one of the new opportunities in Los Angeles County, and I think it's a new Latino majority district. I forgot to add that to the slide. Next district, District 51. This is a Northeast LA based district. This area was actually very hard to draw. The area has been going through a lot of gentrification in the Northeast cities. So there's also VRA considerations to the Asian community to its east, and then there's VRA considerations to its south for Latino and trying to respect African American communities of interest districts as well. So this district was drawn in a way to basically put all the Northeast communities together. It does go into South Pasadena, mostly for total population needs. East LA is generally kept whole in this district, not totally though. It had to be split for VRA considerations for the district to itself. And then it goes all the way towards the East Hollywood community. But you can call this a Sunset Boulevard district if you wish, and a Northeast district. And the district immediately to its south, though, which is also those two districts kind of have to draw in conjunction and trying to balance with each other. So this district is Boyle Heights based with some East LA and Commerce to anchor it. We also did our best to respect some of our API community of interest as described to us by our friends at Asian American Advancing Justice. So this does keep the Chinatown, Little Tokyo, and Koreatown communities of interest together, those enclaves together, which were requested. We could not fit in Thai Town, which is in East Hollywood, for total population and VRA interest to keep these two districts, this one and the one above it, above 50% CVAP. But they are both like the current majority and current opportunity districts that we wanted to maintain. The district just south of that in South LA. This one is a Latino majority district. It is 59% CVAP as drawn here, but it also has a significant African-American population. This was one of the districts we also were trying to maintain at about 30% Black CVAP as well. So this is a Black-brown district. South LA, is its own new burgeoning community, growing in Latino population, but we were also trying to draw it in a way to also respect the African-American community wishes. We listened to input from the Black Hub in this area. We have different lines, but we all shared the same goal of trying to maintain districts for not only the Latino community, but for the African-American voices as well. So I urge you to maintain this majority district. This is a Latino influence district, but also an African-American district of interest. We heard feedback to try to maintain this Inglewood-Hawthorne community district together. We also gave it the LAX community, but we tried to basically try to maintain this district, which has been performing for the African-American community, and is also a significant Latino district, influence district. So we have interest in maintaining this district as well. All right, moving over a little bit now towards the East San Gabriel Valley. So this East San Gabriel Valley, this is a district that has existed and should continue to exist. It's 51% CVAP. It has the very compact communities of, West Covina, El Monte, Baldwin Park, Covina, and Azusa kind of really anchor this district. But these cities are all very related. This is my hometown. People are going back and forth on the 10 and the 210 all over the place. And the 605 and the 57 are very natural rough dividing lines for this region as well, which would be the core of this district. This was also drawn in care to maintain its effectiveness, going a little bit too far north. We generally stopped at Glendora and San Dimas, roughly around Foothill or Route 66. So those cities are split for some VRA and effectiveness concerns. And we also took care because we drew a district to its south. And this district is anchored by Montebello and most of Pico Rivera and South El Monte City, and then the city of South El Monte, to its west. But we also took great care. We worked with our friends at Asian American Advancing Justice, and they had a very strong community of interest from the Hacienda Heights to Diamond Bar area and Walnut. So we try to keep those 4 areas that are of API community of interest together. And they actually asked, could they be in this district? And then we're able to come to that. This district does go into Chino Hills, though, just to wrap it up. And that was for total population needs, as well as VRA needs because of the district to its south, which is what we call, this is a new district. This is an additional new majority and opportunity district for the Latino community in LA County. So this district, which we call 70, is anchored basically in the Whittier, kind of the 605 corridor districts, cities, so Whittier, Norwalk, Santa Fe Springs, La Habra, La Mirada, these anchor these districts. We went in towards Brea, mostly because we were listening to feedback from our friends at Asian American Advancing Justice and OSET that Cerritos Artesia to this district south was going to prefer to be with Orange County communities of interest. So we were able to oblige that. And that did force us to go into Brea for total population needs, but it was not also out of the realm of, it wasn't not ridiculous to put Brea and La Habra together. So a little of everything, and to avoid an additional city split. But this is a new opportunity and a new majority district in LA County. Finally, starting to go back south, the next 2 districts are 2 Southeast cities-based districts. And the Southeast cities are very, very dense and very, very highly populated Latino community centers for LA County. And we want to empower those communities. They have been historically marginalized, historically underrepresented, historically paired with other communities as almost population fillers so they can be outvoted. These working class communities in the Southeast cities, Maywood, Huntington Park, Bell Gardens, they would be community of interest with the areas to the south, but you do have to separate them for voting rights needs because you can actually because else you would be packing the community where they could have had into one district where they should, and in our plan, have 2. So this district takes the northern Southeast cities, stops short of the Southeast communities, and goes down to Downey, Bellflower Hole, Lakewood Hole, and it finishes at in parts of Long Beach. Basically, we stop at Spring Street or the 405 in Long Beach City. And we kind of had to go that far for total population needs and voting rights compliance needs to avoid packing and trying to respect the Cerritos Artesia community of wanting to be with us with Orange County. So that shape helped us draw this shape. And this AD 63 is again the Southeast cities. So Southgate, Linwood, Cudahy, Paramount, they anchor this district. And these are communities that deserve their own representative. They should be together. We've heard from we had feedback from different partners that Linwood, Southgate, did not want to go towards Compton. So it was a complex discussion. We chose to listen to our community partners. This is a district that it would be effective, and it goes all the way down towards basically north or western Long Beach, stopping basically as far south as about 7th Street in Long Beach and following the 710. We also note this also stops to include a Cambodian community as identified by the Asian American Advancing Justice, so they are kept whole with Signal Hill. This is an effective district. This was drawn in these 2 districts, like this one and the one above it, were drawn north-south in part to avoid packing for the Latino community, and also to avoid and to also make way for to preserve and respect an African American opportunity to its west, which is what we call District 64. This district is Compton-Carson based, Compton-Carson-Willowbrook based. Along with all the San Pedro Wilmington communities together, which were previously split. So we had interest to put those Latino communities of interest together, along with the Harbor Gateway and West Carson. I know we heard a lot of feedback from Asian Americans Advancing Justice wanting to put West Carson with Carson together. We often heard feedback of not wanting to split Carson if possible. And this was our way of doing that while allowing for a new district to be inserted to this district's northeast, and, respecting, an African American ability to elect, influence at very least a candidate of choice. All right, that finishes the run of LA County. I just want to finish up with some two Orange County districts of interest. Assembly District 69. This is, and I want to talk about this area of Orange County in particular. Santa Ana, East Garden Grove, Central Anaheim. They have formed a core community of that has anchored Latino opportunities to elect in Orange County for decades. And this is the core of Latino opportunity in Orange County. And so these areas must be kept together. And they are accomplished in this, and they are done so in this way. They also add a little bit of Orange and parts of Tustin for total population needs, as well as to make an influence district to its north, as well as to respect a Asian American OSET district of interest to this district's west. But this is a historic district that has been electing for decades, and this needs to be maintained. And drawing it this way maintains that while still drawing an influence district to its north. So this district now is Fullerton, Placentia whole, with the remainder of West Anaheim, and finishing up in Stanton. You see this district is now 36% Latino CVAP. It's a very significant influence district for our community, but these are also cities that, generally, Fullerton, Central Anaheim, West Anaheim, generally together, took a little piece of Buena Park for total population needs. As you can see, we're generally maintaining city splits here and trying to avoid them. But, and that north part of Buena Park does have some community of interest relations with its neighboring parts of Fullerton. So not totally out of the realm of possibility. It's a very strong influence and coalition district. You also use 23% Asian CVAP as well. And again, these two districts were drawn, while I'm not presenting on it, to maintain a district to its southwest, which pairs Cerritos, Artesia all the way down towards the Fountain Valley area, which OSET presented on, I believe, yesterday. That's the LA Orange County in a nutshell. I got about 10, 15 minutes left to go through the rest of this state. I know it's a lot of district, guys. Stay with me, drink some coffee. Go Dodgers. All right. Inland Empire. The Inland Empire is another area of significant total population and Latino citizen voting age population growth in California. The benchmark, as you can see, and really west, we're talking about Western San Bernardino right now, and Riverside, has 2 majority CVAP districts plus 3 influence. We turn those influence districts and we make 5 Latino majority CVAP districts, 3 in San Bernardino County and 2 in Riverside County. Starting in the Pomona Valley. So this Pomona is part of LA County, but really Pomona often sees itself more paired with Montclair, Upland, Chino, and Ontario, going that direction. And the districts and it has historically helped elect candidates of choice within these areas as well. So this is a district that we maintain. We call it 52. So Pomona, Chino, part of Ontario, and we do, and Montclair, and part of Ontario. And we split Ontario because of voting rights needs, because we create additional districts to its west. So the following district, 47, is another Latino majority district, and it's also an opportunity district. This is a district where we generally followed the 10 freeway. So it's the rest of Ontario, most of Rancho Cucamonga, South Fontana, Bloomington, a little bit of Rialto, because that's the city line, Colton, and stopping at Loma Linda. I would say, our communities really didn't want Rancho Cucamonga in this district, but there was total population and voting rights compliant needs where we still had to include some of it, but for the most part, though, the communities along the 10 freeway, are, very strong Latino communities of interest. They will, this region historically elected candidates of choice in the past. But this shape was also drawn following the 10 freeway corridor to kind of respect the other district, which is 40. This is a new majority CVAP district. And we were also drawing to really also to fulfill two goals. One, we heard from community goals like our friends at the Inland Empowerment Inland United, IE United group, to keep San Bernardino City whole. And we're also often heard about the community of interest called the Ebony Triangle, which is often bounded by the 10 and the 15 and the 215th in around Fontana and North Fontana, North Rialto. And we keep most of it, if not all of it, whole. It depends on which community you're asking. And we stop south at Foothill Boulevard, which is a main thoroughfare for this Inland Empire area. And so our goal really here was to keep the Ebony Triangle whole and the city of San Bernardino whole with its own district. And this also makes a new Latino 50% majority district, and and it will be an opportunity district. To the south, in western Riverside County, there were 2 influence seats, which we worked hard to strengthen to make into 2 majority CVAP seats. The first is District 60. This district is anchored by Jurupa Valley and most of Riverside City. For population and voting rights compliance needs, we went to Eastvale and parts of Corona. It is absolutely paramount that the area of Norco not be part of this district. I think you've heard many community of interest testimony that Norco should not be part of this district. Corona, parts of Corona we did have to include for voting rights compliance needs. Compliance with the VRA supersedes some of the community of interest and city split needs. So parts of Corona are included here to reach a population goal and maintain a 50% standard, which is the first parts to comply to the VRA. But, Jurupa Valley and Riverside City, these Western Riverside really are, strong communities of interest that anchor this district. To this district's west, though, District 61. This is another district that was an influence district before coming in, and we also worked to strengthen to become a majority CVAP district. So this is a new majority district. The core of this district is really Moreno Valley to Paris, and then the Paris communities, cities around it. So Mead Valley, Good Hope, Meadowbrook. We heard a lot of feedback from our communities to try to keep the Lakeview through Homeland, Romaland area together with Paris. And then we stopped at San Jacinto. The communities really, felt San Jacinto was a good fit. There was a lot of debate about Hemet, Hemet in, Hemet out. Many of our Latino community members, such as the Black Brown Alliance and Riverside Lulackers, were really not in favor of Hemet areas in this area, and they wanted more Riverside. So the only compromise I could come up with to also comply with VRA needs is I cut Riverside at the, I believe it's the 91 freeway or the 215. I think it's a period where they kind of merge into the same freeway along Riverside. And we Hemet, which actually has a large population, it's 89,000 people on its own. We do split Hemet along Florida Avenue, which is a main railroad in Hemet. So we do that for trying to respect some of the community feedback we received, along with total population needs. So this district is 51% Latino CVAP and 14% Black CVAP. I know that's a figure that many folks have been trying to argue. But the point is, though, 2 districts in West Riverside County should be majority CVAP. Almost done. Finally, just finishing up south. And this is really more about maintaining existing benchmark existing CVAP, majority CVAP and influence districts. As you can see, the south, which is San Diego and Imperial County, we will have one majority district in Imperial Coachella and one majority district in the San Diego area, along with an influence district in the San Diego area. In San Diego, our Assembly District 80, this is a district that has historically been electing Latino candidates of choice for decades. It's a hard decision, but here we did keep splitting the Chula Vista along the, where are we? Not the 5 freeway. It'll come to me. I'm blanking, of course, because it's, pressure, right? And Western City Heights, along with Imperial Beach. So this district has historically been electing, and this is a district, we need to maintain a majority Latino CDI district in this area, and it's already performing, so we will try to maintain it. So therefore, and you can see where we split in City Heights, and also keeping Barrio Logan in. This also makes way, though, for a very strong Latino and coalition influence district to its east, but the remainder of Chula Vista, Bonita, most of the City Heights, and then the Lemon Grove and Spring Valley communities of interest in La Presa. So, these two districts together, allow you to maintain not only a influence district, but a Latino majority district in San Diego. And then finally, again, we maintain the Coachella Valley, Imperial Valley district, the Salton Sea district. It has been 50 and we maintained it. The only thing of note I will add here is that we did hear various community feedback of wanting to put part of Palm Springs or maintain part of Palm Springs in this district. So we did that we did do a small split of Palm Springs City. We've heard there's a lot of growing organizing for communities of color in this area. So we were trying to respect that wish. But we don't include the cities of Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, Indian Wells, or La Quinta in this district, partly basically for total population needs and maintaining this district at 50% CDI. And that, commissioners, is my break. I have 3 minutes left in this one, and then I know our next session starts. So I will throw it to the chair. I don't know if you wish me to answer a handful of questions, or should we just pause and then go straight into Congress with my colleagues?
Yeah, unfortunately, the commission is not asking any questions of our presenters, but thank you so much for this excellent presentation. I can certainly say, and I announced this earlier, I know that there are materials being used in many of the presentations from submitters that we hadn't received previously, so you are welcome to send PowerPoints and other items to the Voters First Act at crc.ca.gov. This is certainly for you or for any of our presenters, and I believe some of our staff will be following up with presenters to request that.
We'll do commissioners.
Sure. Otherwise, we can take a couple minute break if you'd like. That would be helpful.
Chair's prerogative.
We do have an appointment scheduled for 12:01.
Is that
Yes.
him though, right? Okay.
Yeah, he's a part of that.
How are we doing on time?
It's 12 o'clock.
Perfect. So that was your break. We can go ahead and get started for the next one then. Katie?
Wonderful. We will get the time clock reset, and I will bring in your colleagues. At this time, we will have PMI 023A, and it looks like PMI 021A has joined us to join them. So PMI 023A, I will be promoting you now. And then PMI 021A, I'll be promoting you now.
So is this a different submitter then? So I'm going to 30 minutes?
And you have, is that the new presentation?
Yeah, I'm just going straight through. I am tech support as well.
Oh, perfect. That's fabulous. I know, we do the same thing here. All right. So this PMI 023A, I believe that's who we have set to present. Is that who's presenting it?
They will be supporting.
They're supporting. You are presenting. All right. Fabulous.
I will forgive me. It's probably better if I do the bulk of it, given I'm controlling the screen.
That's
but they're going to be coming in here and there as my team.
Perfect. The floor is yours, and they are here with you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Commissioners, first I want to take a moment quickly to welcome and allow them to introduce themselves. I would like to welcome Maldives Western Redistricting Coordinators Myra Valadez and Kathy Ramirez.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Myra Valadez, and I am one of Maldives Western Regional Redistricting Coordinators.
Hello, Commissioners. It is a pleasure to be here. My name is Kathy Ramirez, and I am the other Western Regional Redistricting Coordinator at Maldives.
I also want to acknowledge who could not be here, Gabriel Lizardo, who is Maldives National Registering Program Assistant, who helped us substantially develop these plans and put all these presentation materials together. So we thank you for this continuance, starting with the next set of time, where we want to now focus on our congressional plan. And so I think I shared some of this in our previous session, but overall, the Maldives Congressional Plan had a total, in compliance with all California Commission laws and ranked criteria. Our plan has a deviation rate of 6 people, that's plus or minus 3 people. Congressional plans have a very, very, very strict, it has been interpreted to be a very, very strict deviation for these plans. So that makes actually these districts much more challenging to draw if you want to avoid community or city splits. So our deviation range is 0%, plus or minus 0%. Regarding VRA compliance, the Maldives Congressional Plan contains 16 majority CVAP districts, compared to the current benchmark, which has 10. And we also create 3 new Latino opportunity districts where we believe Latinos will be able to elect candidates of choice in California. Our districts are contiguous with the exception of a handful of islands. And we did, again, with our assembly, we did our best to preserve as many community of interest in cities and counties as possible. Much of our COIs were taken from work partnerships from our Unity table, redistricting CA table, and our local community groups. And as you'll probably see, if you were paying attention to the assembly, many of the same architecture points that you saw in our assembly will be here and will be here in the Congress. So while not a direct nesting, just to addressing that last ranked criteria for the commission. These are our 16 Latino CVAP majority districts. And I highlighted new CVAP or opportunity districts. I will be emailing you this presentation as soon as we are completed today. And again, like the assembly plan, we did our best to match the numbers to current benchmark districts, and that's mostly to make it easy for you and or the public to compare. That is always of interest to the members of the public. And we also have 6 influence districts to present. And like the Congress, the same pattern though for our assembly presentation. When we start regional focus, reds are majority CVAP districts, pink are influence districts, and the blue districts are districts I'm not going to be presenting upon, but they're districts of interest from our various partners that we've talked to throughout our time, and we did our best to try to include them and respect some of their goals as well, and to show that VRA compliance can be met while at the same time as meeting other communities of interest in a statewide architecture. So that's it. Now let's go into Congress, and maybe I can take my time a little bit. Going same pattern. We're going north to south, so Central California. Like the assembly, this is just an area where we very much want the total population and specifically Latino citizen voting age population increases of California to be respected. The benchmark area plan in Central and Coast and Valley has 2 majority districts plus 6 influence. So you can see a lot of split Latino communities just by inference. And the Maldives plan creates 4 majority CVAP districts, which will be opportunity districts. And this includes 3 new opportunity districts in this area. So this is an area where we believe, significant gains for Latino communities should be reflected in California's statewide plans. First, Maldives Cd9, which is a high influence seat based in Stockton, San Joaquin County, with a little bit of South Sacramento County. This district is 31% district CVAP. It's an influence, and it's basically Stockton based with the Lodi regions and then Tracy and Manteca, not Lathrop, and I'll talk about that in a second, but does not go all the way down towards the San Joaquin border. And this is a influence district, a deviation of -1 person. So you can start seeing the nooks and crannies are really going to come out in a congressional plan. District 10. This is one of our first new Latino opportunity and majority district in the Central Valley. This is a district that is basically centered around Merced and kind of Modesto and Madera cities, with finishing up in western Fresno County for both population and voting rights compliance needs. This district, is anchored by this, 99 freeway, which goes up and down, of course, the entire Central Valley, and basically communities on the western part of this valley, and have been Latino communities of color and of community interests should be kept together. There are challenges in this area of drinking water, and so many other farm worker related interests. But this is a new opportunity. We additionally work with partners like CNC and the Dolores Huerta Foundation in these regions, and many others, and plus our own workshops. So we did our best to respect some of the COIs, but there are, and also with the total population needs, and specifically trying to hit a very small margin of error on deviation. There are a lot more city splits, and that's going to happen at the congressional level, unfortunately. So this district, again, is series-based. In Stanislaus, it's primarily series-based, along with the riverbank communities, which folks like CNC told us they wanted paired with series and parts of Turlock. Most of Modesto is removed as an area that it just has not historically voted for Latino communities of interest, so it limits some of the effectiveness. Lathrop is included whole part for total population needs as well. But it's generally following, the 99 freeway, and the 5 freeway just unites the entire district towards its center. And then obviously it goes into West Fresno as well. It includes Madera cities, neighborhoods, and then many of the West Fresno rural farm communities, but not into Fresno urban city, not Fresno proper. Because Fresno City proper is another new majority district. This district now is drawn at 53% Latino CVAP, where the other one was under 50. Fresno City, similarly to the assembly plan, generally follows the split around a little bit. It's a little bit more than Golden State Road this time, but generally kind of sticks along that freeway. It uses, and includes, we again take care to include the Sunnyside Farm Hmong community in this area. And it's a Fresno now towards North Tulare farming communities. And it stops at Tulare City and parts of Tulare City in particular to keep this district above 50 and frankly to maintain its effectiveness. As I said in the assembly, there's an area that's roughly between 134 and I'm already blanking on the freeways. That basically between that are parts of Tulare and Visalia and Hanford in Kings County and the Lemoore that aren't always effective for the Latino vote. And so for voting rights compliance, we do split these cities to have this new majority district and maintain effectiveness. And this is a 5 freeway Fresno anchored district. A 99 freeway anchored district. Another new district in this region is on the Central Coast. This is Monterey, mostly inland of Monterey, San Benito County, and then South Santa Clara. This district is a new opportunity and a new majority district that we believe should be included in your congressional plan. It's at 50.16% LCVAP according to statewide database data. And historically, as I talked about in the assembly, like Monterey has been often split from the coast to its inland communities. And following that logic and those legal precedents, frankly, and those effectiveness precedents, we do something similar here. So this time we remove the coastal communities of Monterey, the Monterey City, Carmel Valley, and we still pair them with Santa Cruz, which there are some, that's not an unreasonable coastal community pairing. But this allows us to create a majority district, opportunity district with inland Monterey, South Santa Clara, which is so Gilroy, Morgan Hill, San Martin. Those are strong communities of interest that often have relationships south towards Hollister. I know they're all part of the same San Benito Community College District, for example. We do need to complete a district, though, that is at 50% CVAP. We also do include the Alum Rock community in the East San Jose area. We didn't do this lightly, but we did this for voting rights compliance needs and total population needs. We did work with Asian American Advancing Justice on some of these boundaries because they have significant interest in this area. That is not to say they endorsed this this cut at all, but they did help me make a cut. And it's not, but obviously, again, not an endorsement. But we did try to collaborate the best we could with other partners, so we can achieve our goals, and they advocate for theirs. But Maldives believes this district, is compliant with the VRA, and it should be drawn. Finally, in South, finishing up the Central Valley, in South, basically Kern-Bakersfield to South Tulare County-based district. This is a new opportunity district. The benchmark is previously over 50%, but this is one of those districts where I was when I talked at the beginning of my previous presentation, the difference between an effective district versus a majority district versus an opportunity. This district, there was certain populations, particularly in the Tulare, Hanford area, Visalia area, that do not support Latino candidates of choice. We looked at election data, and we talked with community groups and organizers in this area, and to help us develop reasonable splits of those communities, and to satisfy total population needs, to satisfy voting rights compliance needs, and to satisfy many of the community interest needs in this area. It's a very nice compact district. It has a traditional Bakersfield hook, which has been litigated many times over, most recently by Maldives in 2016 at the Board of Supervisors level. We worked very extensively with the Dolores Huerta Foundation on feedback and trying to which communities should or did have a good community of interest pairings. But we believe this is another district that should be drawn in this manner, and it would be effective in a new opportunity district for communities. And then finally, just on the Central Coast, we have just another influence district. Our friends at Qgis were very interested in trying to keep Santa Barbara County whole. So this was a Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, SLO County, together with some of Ventura, stopping at a Ventura County district that is also an influence district, which I'll talk about in a second. But this was just another influence district, that our friends at Qgis were interested in. So we also believe it should be maintained. Okay, so that's the Central Valley, Central Coast, central part of California. Now let's look at back to LA. Like Assembly, LA, all the districts are underpopulated. There's a host of voting rights and communities of color concerns, wanting to make sure we maintain or have gains for the Latino community, but not at the expense of another community of colors or underrepresented community's voice. And that was our goal. And we believe we found a puzzle. LA County proper had 5 majority Latino CVAP districts plus 1 influence district. It was effective, but it was under 50. And we make them 6 districts while maintaining 1 in Orange County and doing our best to maintain districts that have historically elected African Americans in LA County. Before I get into LA proper, I will start with the high desert and Palmdale, Lancaster area. We are able to create a very high influence seat in this area, matching the similar areas of our assembly district, which was 50%. Obviously, the congressional district is bigger, so we had to include more population. As you can see, that assembly district went from 50 to 42. Still a very, very high influence, perhaps an opportunity even. But it's eastern Palmdale, Lancaster, along with most of the high desert communities, and it does finish up in Upland and Rancho Cucamonga for population needs. And the other influence district surrounding the LA County area is this Ventura district. Again, like Assembly, they have very strong interests in preserving the farming towns of, Piru, Fillmore, etc., down with Oxnard and Port Winnie, Santa Paula. This is a district shape that was also, given to us similarly by cause. We shared that shape, that goal. This influence district is 36% Latino CVAP. But LA County, again, the biggest puzzle to unlock, drawing Latino majority districts, maintaining Asian American influences, their growing influence, and maintaining Black voices. I mean, that was an important thing. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Myra, who can introduce our next district in the San Fernando Valley.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, I would love to describe Maldives Congressional District 39. It is a district that is over 58% Latino CVAP, entirely in the county of Los Angeles and within the San Fernando Valley. So it spans from the Northeast San Fernando Valley communities of Silmar and the city of San Fernando, down to North Hollywood along the 170 freeway, and east along the Sherman Way corridor past the 405 to include West San Fernando communities like Lake Balboa, Reseda, and parts of Winnetka and Canoga Park. This district is largely working class and renter in the East San Fernando Valley and has a lot in common culturally with the West San Fernando Valley and are connected by language and socioeconomic interests. A lot of community members in these communities use public transit and are reliant on it to get to and from work. And we took into consideration feedback from our workshops and folks who live in the San Fernando Valley alongside community partners in Chirla. So that is the 29th.
Thank you, Myra. Next district, which is a new majority CVAP seat, although previously opportunity seat, is District 34, which is based in the Northeast communities or Northeast LA communities. Again, we did our best to use both neighborhood councils and input from our friends at Asian American and Advancing Justice to draw these districts. This district, has the very cohesive communities of interest in the Northeast communities. But we do need to anchor this district with Boyle Heights and East LA to maintain its effectiveness. This is an area that has been going through a lot of gentrification. So it is ever changing, but so making sure East LA, which should be kept whole if we can, together. So East LA, Boyle Heights, El Sereno, Lincoln Heights, they're a core anchor to this community. Another core Latino community anchor is the Pico Union, Westlake, MacArthur Park community of interest. And we did our best, and in this area, we were able to maintain Koreatown whole, along with the enclaves of Chinatown and Little Tokyo. We cannot reach into East Hollywood for total population needs. This is, and parts of downtown. So that is this district, which we restored to a majority Latino CVAP district. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy, I believe. Are you ready to talk about this district, or was this one me? Okay. All right, I guess this one was me. She's going next. So next district of interest is 37. So District 37 is actually a historic African-American district. This district still does and has African-American candidates of choice. This is a Latino influence district for us. It's 38% Latino CVAP. We also try to maintain it at approximately 35% Black CVAP. We did our best to anchor it in the South LA communities of interest. We used the neighborhood council boundaries, stopping short of Pico Union and Koreatown for total population needs, and also for total population needs to keep, communities of color percentages up to maintain influences and opportunities. We did go and include the Hollywood communities, which was much more multi-ethnic than, say, the communities of, say, West Side or South Robertson. Or Mid-City for this district. And that's why we made that choice here. But it allowed us to maintain the Latino influence and maintain the African-American percentage at 35% Black CVAP, which we know is a goal for some partners. And a similar situation that exists in District 43. Kathy?
Yes, thank you. So as for Maldives Congressional District 43, we have a Latino as well. First, I wanted to mention that CD 43 is a Black opportunity seat with a Black CBAP of 33.54%. And it is also a Latino influence seat with a Latino CBAP of 43.42%. And I wanted to emphasize it's a Latino influence district and it is centered in the county of Los Angeles and encompasses cities such as Inglewood, Compton, Hawthorne, Westmont. And I also wanted to emphasize that it is at the center of South LA, paired with the following cities. And I, wanted to note that from community workshops conducted in partnership with NALEO and SBCC, we received feedback from Latino community members that the area has a Latino population concentration and consists of low to middle income working class. And members of the community have went ahead and are united by similar challenges, such as access to quality education and high cost of rent. And it is a very close-knit community with several multicultural restaurants and community centers home to a high concentration of both Black and Latino population, alike that access similar grocery stores and leisure activities. And then Stephen, can you click to the next district? Thank you. So for Maldives, Congressional District 44 has a Latino CBAP of 53.43% and a Black CBAP of 15.5%. It is a South Bay District corridor of Long Beach drawn for VRA compliance, and it includes San Pedro and Wilmington with the west of Long Beach and Carson as a whole, given the public input we've been given in our workshops with NALEO, and also wanted to be respectful of AAAJ, community of interest in Long Beach. And the district lines are drawn going around Compton and Watts, reflecting, the feedback we received from the Black Census and Redistricting Hub and People's Block feedback. And just wanted to note that the cities in this district are kept whole are very socioeconomically similar. And in the next slide, Stephen, if you could do that.
And this district also gets Catalina.
Yeah, it goes ahead and has in the presentation I'll show a detail slide, but for Maldives Congressional District 40 is located in the county of Los Angeles and has a Latino CBAP of 57.32% and a Black CBAP of 9.38%. And it encompasses multiple vibrant cities such as downtown LA and uniting the South Central community in the north that is famously known for its, in the north of the district, that is famously known for its small businesses such as South LA Cafe. Moreover, we also went ahead and made an effort to creating a respectable boundary between itself and South Los Angeles and Westmont community, and recognizing the socioeconomic differences. And the southeast cities in the district that are listed here have shared cultural ancestry and making it a viable fit for most of the southeast cities in this district, where Downey serves as the essential anchor to be in the same district. And Florence Graham is located northwest of the district and is split due to balancing out for population purposes. And the district does go into Signal Hill, but however, that is, and South Long Beach, but that is for population needs and to avoid packing and also preserving the Asian American community of interest in Cerritos whole.
Thank you, Kathy. We're almost done, commissioners, almost. We got 5 minutes. Next district I wanted to talk about was again in the kind of the Whittier. It's a Montebello, San Pico, Whittier, Southeast 5605 corridor based district. Like the Assembly, we also had feedback from Asian American Advancing Justice about the communities of Hacienda Heights through Diamond Bar And also wanted to be included with these Latino communities as well. So this is a 60 freeway, a 605 freeway corridor district. And it does also split parts of North Chino Hills for total population needs. And at least that part of Chino Hills does have a community of interest with the Diamond Bar Walnut community as well. So not totally unreasonable, but this is where we have population split issues. Then the last district of interest in LA County proper is in the East San Gabriel Valley. This was drawn again, like the Assembly. The center is, as Baldwin Park, West Covina, Azusa, Covina. They're the core and anchor of this district. Again, this 10 and the 210 on north-south, and the 605 and the 57 are kind of main thoroughfares for this part of the San Gabriel Valley. It includes Almonte and Industry going towards Valinda to also keep the figures up. There's also a district where you also have to be careful for making sure to watch for district figures for effectiveness, which is why we don't always go, say, all the way into Glendora as an example. It is split. But this is, again, another district that is, believe it has been performing. And it also is drawn in a way to respect the West San Gabriel Valley, which is an Asian American district of interest. And finally, in this region, Orange County, again, want to highlight we have a 50% Latino district that is an opportunity district in Orange County. Again, anchored by Santa Ana, East Garden Grove, and Central Anaheim. In this time, just for city splits, we did our best we did not split the city of Orange, but we did include Fullerton south of Chapman Avenue and parts of Placentia City and Stanton. This was also done in a way to not only draw our district of interest, our voting rights district of interest, but to preserve a district that OSED and Asian American Advancing Justice were trying to draw around it. So this was also done to preserve that high Asian influence to this district's west. All right, almost done. Inland Empire, same story. In the metro, Inland Empire, western counties of Western Riverside, Western San Bernardino. Previously, there were 2 majority districts and 1 influence. We now draw 3 majority districts in this area. This does not count. That does not count the High Desert Influence District, and this does not count a new district, which I'll talk about shortly, for the Coachella Valley and Imperial. But these 3 districts right here are all over 50%, and we believe they would be, they reflect the total population and total Latino CVAP population growth of the state and in this area, and they would all be performed. So again, District 35, it's a Pomona to Ontario-based district with Chino and Eastville for some population needs and maintaining the effectiveness. The only city splits here are a little bit of Rancho and Upland for effectiveness and total population needs. But this is also done in a way to make way for this district 31, which would be a new majority CVAP district. This is now San Bernardino Hole. We did our best to keep, again, the Ebony Triangle Hole in North Fontana or North Rialto, along with the Latino communities of Bloomington, Colton, and then parts of Highland. And then these other communities have some community of interest, but there's also total population needs to fill this out. This district is now 52% Latino CVAP, and we believe it is a new majority CVAP district that would be effective, an opportunity district. And then finally, we wanted to maintain a 50% district in the Metro Riverside area. Like our assembly plans, this is an area where we wanted to anchor it. We wanted to anchor it with Jurupa Valley and Riverside, then anchored it with Moreno Valley and Perez in the immediate areas.
10 seconds.
Yeah. Finally, 2 new Latino majority districts in the San Diego and Imperial Coachella Valley. Previously, a San Diego to Imperial district was there. Now San Diego had grown.
Looks like we ran out of time there. Thank you so much, Mr. Ochoa, for that marathon presentation and to the members of your team. Katie, we can continue on.
Thank you, Chair. And right now we will have a P0 PMI024. I will be promoting you now. PMI024, you can now enable your audio and video in the lower left corner of your screen. And I see we've got PMI024B. I will be promoting you now. And we now have PMI. PMI024B. I will try one more time, but there may be a connectivity issue for you. We can try the audio only option. Let me speak with PMI024A. It appears that PMI024B is having some connectivity issues with promotion. Would you like me to try the audio only option? 024, yes?
If you could, yes, thank you.
Absolutely will. PMI024B, you should see a prompt to unmute in the center of your screen at this time. If you will please select that, it will bring you into the meeting with the audio only option.
So PMI
B.
24B, you do have the ability to unmute. 24A, are you ready to start your presentation?
I am.
All right, your time will start now, please.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, commissioners, members of the public. I am Paul Yoder of Shaw, Yoder, Antwi, Schmelzer, and Lang. I am one of the state advocates for San Joaquin County. First off, please accept my personal and professional gratitude for the vital service you are all performing on behalf of your fellow Californians. San Joaquin County is currently represented by 2 congressional districts, 3 assembly districts, and 1 state senate district. During the beginning of the redistricting process, San Joaquin County conducted significant outreach and education to its residents and community partners to determine how they would like their districts drawn. The county conducted surveys online and by phone and public outreach to see how residents wanted their districts drawn. They heard from community leaders who overwhelmingly want the county to be represented by those who live within the county for better representation and because of shared values and interests. In short, San Joaquin County residents have found that the ultimate community of interest is the county itself, as is currently the case in the overwhelmingly supported state senate district, which is nearly contiguous with county boundaries. So for the congressional districts, the predominant message from community groups and the public was having 1 congressional representative to represent San Joaquin County, as is currently the case with the existing state senate district. Currently, San Joaquin County is represented by 2 congressional representatives, neither of whom resides in the county. The county is submitting a new congressional district map made up of San Joaquin County, excluding a portion of the Mountain House area in order to meet the population thresholds. This new district will ensure that the interests of San Joaquin County residents are represented without being overshadowed by the interest of other counties. While the county did not want to exclude any area in the map due to population requirements, this map comes close to meeting the population threshold of 766,066. It keeps a portion of Mountain House, including Delta College, within San Joaquin County. And if you'll pardon me for just 1 second, I will scroll down just to make sure everyone can see the proposed congressional district. And I know you have that as well. Having done that, I will move on to the assembly. Outreach and survey results showed San Joaquin County residents want to be represented by 2 assembly districts and have most of these districts' population in San Joaquin County. Online survey results show that county residents want their assembly members to live within San Joaquin County. In the phone survey and in discussions during public outreach, it was noted that if the county must have another county represented in these districts due to population adjustments, that from a community of interest perspective, it should be Stanislaus County due to similar interests and values regarding agriculture. San Joaquin County is submitting 2 assembly district maps, one on the western side and one on the eastern side of the county. The western district map represents the urban areas of the county and would be north-south in configuration, excluding Lodi and the rural northern area. The eastern district map would represent the rest of the county to keep the rural communities of interest together, including portions of Stanislaus County. These 2 new districts address comments the county received requesting 2 assembly districts in the county, with Lodi being included in the rural portion of a district rather than in a district with Sacramento County. Having the eastern district would also ensure that agricultural interests are kept together. I'll move on to the state Senate district. There is currently 1 Senate district representing San Joaquin County, Senate District 5. This district represents all of San Joaquin County and a small portion of Stanislaus County. Overwhelmingly, in the online survey, residents did not want any changes.
No, I've got 2 different screens. I see Paul.
Did not want changes to this district since it represents primarily and predominantly San Joaquin County residents. The new county proposed map would represent all of San Joaquin County and a portion of Galt and a small portion of Stanislaus County due to population requirements. However, this map is not exact, and the commission would have to adjust it to meet the population requirements. San Joaquin County requests that the proposed Senate district continue to be primarily comprised of all of San Joaquin County. Thank you again for your service on this commission and your time today. I will now hand it over to San Joaquin County Supervisor Chuck Wynn.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry for the technical challenge. First of all, let me thank the commission for their hard work in regards to these redistricting efforts. But let me go through what we've done in San Joaquin County in addition to what Paul's already related. On July 12th, San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors created a redistricting advisory group to help provide education outreach to the public on the state redistricting process. Email invitation was sent to over 300 individuals and organizations in San Joaquin County, and the advisory group was comprised of 20 community groups, organizations throughout the county, ranging from El Concilio, the NAACP, the Business Council, San Joaquin County Office of Education, San Joaquin County Farm Bureau, Chambers of Commerce, and many other influential community organizations and individuals. This effectively covered the broad diversity and demographics of the county. It was emphasized from the beginning the goal was to establish the best possible configuration based upon communities of interest to represent our county's residents at all levels of government. It was not about political parties, current elected officials, or future candidates for office. This was simply an effort to improve upon our current alignments to reach our goal. The county conducted an online survey from August 9th through the 15th to San Joaquin County residents. The response from the community was strong. Our consultants were hoping for a minimum of 1,200 successful responses, and we had 4,000, and they expected that 4,000 would be the gold standard in regards to numbers. By the second day of the survey, we already surpassed 4,000. By the end of the week, we had over 9,000 responses and received 7,500 completed surveys. The county also conducted a phone survey of 300 San Joaquin County residents to align with the county's demographics. The phone survey was September 2nd through the 23rd. We also conducted 3 outreach meetings for the public around the county to increase public awareness of state redistricting process and provided several informational group meetings as requested. The county also created a website with information on the state redistricting process, which included a toolkit for the information how to get involved, information from our surveys, and the social media posts. Our findings were that the majority were in favor of keeping the districts exclusively within San Joaquin County that connected with various communities of interest. The online survey showed the top issue throughout the county was water. Water issues vary from drought in the Delta to water quality and availability. Preserving agriculture was predominantly the community of interest reinforced during the public outreach meetings and in public comments to the commission. For example, at the public outreach meeting in Lodi, it was noted that agriculture was $7 billion industry, and therefore it was imperative to keep the agricultural interests together when drawing new lines. First, I want to recognize, in concluding, my co-chair, Supervisor Robert Rigman, county staff, advisory group members, and residents of San Joaquin County who did a phenomenal job in this redistricting process, which hopefully will assist you in your mission and serve as a model 10 years from now. Without their efforts, this presentation would not have been possible. After review of all public input and presentation to the Board of Supervisors, San Joaquin County provides the following recommendations to the Commission regarding our county's district maps. One congressional district represented primarily by San Joaquin County due to the increased population. 2 assembly districts, one on the western side and one on the eastern side of the county. The western district map represents the urban areas of the county and would be a north-south configuration, excluding Lodi in the rural northern area. The eastern district map would represent the rest of the county to keep the rural areas of interest together, but also include portions of Stanislaus County. Both districts share mutual communities of interest based upon our surveys and public input. One Senate district keeps Senate District 5 close to the current configuration as possible, which is primarily comprised of San Joaquin County. San Joaquin County is a multifaceted and diverse county. We face the same challenges as other counties and work collaboratively to address those issues. We partner with other Delta counties on water, the Central Valley counties on water, agricultural, air quality, and transportation, and the mountain counties on watershed issues and forest management. We have traveled from Yuba County to San Diego to share ideas and lend support to their regional projects. Within San Joaquin County, we grow our own. In healthcare, we establish health force partners with our 7 hospitals to train over 200 doctors, and through our universities, a similar number of nurses and other healthcare professionals. In education, we are the first county to be certified with the state of California high school and adult apprenticeship programs. I could go on with transportation, homelessness, Clean San Joaquin, and a multitude of other programs. But obviously, you see the picture that we work closely with each other in regards to achieving our goals. We have shown through diversity we can unite on critical issues to the betterment of all residents through our various communities of interest. Therefore, we need representatives who know our county's priorities, communities of interest, and its residents. And that's all we're asking for. I want to thank the Commission for certainly your hard work and allowing us to make this presentation. And Paul and I know you're not asking questions, but we're available if you have any comments. And with that, we conclude our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time. And with that, I believe this is the end of the presentations for this session block. We will go on a 30-minute break, a little bit longer than 30 minutes at this point, since we finished up a little early here. And we will be back at 1:15. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the California Citizens Redistricting Commission as we continue to receive public input on map ideas. I know we have a full session this afternoon, so Katie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome to the public input session. When it is your turn to speak, you will be identified by your assigned unique ID number. You will be reconnected to the session with the ability to enable your own video and/or audio and to enable screen sharing. Please have your maps handy prior to your appointment time in order to enable screen sharing. The Commission will be enforcing appointment time limits with a warning at 1 minute and a warning at 30 seconds remaining. At the end of your public input or at the end of your time, you will be reconnected in a listen and view only mode. And right now we will have PMI 025A along with B, C, and D. PMI 025A, I will be promoting you now along with everyone else. We have one more. Hold on. All right, we've got the whole group promoted. If you could please share your maps prior to beginning your narrative, this will begin your time. We are seeing your presentation, and the floor is yours.
Well, good afternoon, commissioners. It's good to see you all again. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to come before you today. We know you've heard a lot of information over the last few days and months, and we appreciate your commitment to providing public input opportunities to us and the rest of the public. My name is James Woodson. I'm the redistricting lead for the Black Census and Redistricting Hub. I'm joined by my colleagues, Natasha Brown, Kevin Cosney, and Kristen Nimmers, who all worked with our mapping team and our expansive coalition to develop the maps that we'll be discussing today. Before we get started, I want to say a quick thank you to the Equity Research Institute at USC and Professor Tom Wong from UC San Diego and his team for their work on our map submission as well. It's important to note that the Black Hub will be one of less than a handful of speakers presenting full statewide proposals for Assembly, Senate, and Congressional Districts to you this week. We did this because we know that you all have multiple ranked criteria to consider and apply, and multiple interests to balance as you create maps. We developed our maps through a similar approach and considered the same criteria that the commission is. Specifically, we decided to draw and submit an entire comprehensive statewide proposal for Assembly, Senate, and Congressional Districts to ensure that we balance the multiple rank criteria and the diverse interests that we've heard and that the commission has heard throughout this process. On page 5 through 9 of our written submission, we talk about our mapping approach and principles and how we address the rank criteria, but I'll quickly review them now. Particularly, we took the following 7 steps in order of priority. Number 1, we ensured that all districts have equal population within acceptable deviations. Specifically, we kept deviations within plus or minus 2% for Assembly, 0% for Congressional, and plus or minus 2% for Senate districts. Number 2, we prioritized VRA considerations of AAPI, Black, Latinx, Indigenous, and Native American communities throughout the state on all 3 levels. In particular, we created a total of 23 Latinx VRA districts at the Assembly level, 12 Latinx VRA districts at the Senate level, and 14 Latinx VRA districts at the Congressional level. We also created 3 Asian VRA districts at the Assembly level. We created 0 Black or Native American VRA districts due to insufficient population, community preference, and or strong evidence of crossover voting. Number 3, we ensured that all districts were contiguous. Number 4, we respected communities of interest as much as possible, particularly those of traditionally underrepresented communities. Number 5, we worked to minimize splits of cities, counties, and neighborhoods as much as possible, given the other higher ranked criteria. Number 6, the Black Hub also worked to ensure districts were as compact as possible, again, given the other higher ranked criteria. And then lastly, the Black Hub's state Senate plan contained several districts that were constructed by nesting whole or partial Assembly districts, except where compliance with higher rank criteria, particularly the VRA, would have been compromised. So based on all of this, we believe that the districts we created strike the proper balance of those ranked criteria, and hope this presentation helps you do the same thing. And now I want to pass it to my colleague, Kevin, who will talk to you a little bit about how we engaged our coalition and community members in our mapping process.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you, James, and thank you, commissioners, for your time and hard work in this process. Again, my name is Kevin Cosney. I've had the pleasure of helping build and support our Black Census and Redistricting Hub Coalition, along with our organizing coordinators, who you will hear from momentarily. Initially, we came together in 2019, really understanding the need for Black communities to have the support and resources needed to navigate and meaningfully participate in the census and redistricting process. We've worked really hard over the last 3 years to build and activate a statewide coalition that spans 11 counties and includes over 30 Black-led and serving organizations who are deeply rooted in the Black community. These organizations not only serve vulnerable communities, but are often led by those who've been directly impacted by social disparities and political decisions. Our coalition has presence in Solano, Contra Costa, Alameda, Sacramento, San Joaquin, Fresno, Kern, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Riverside, and San Diego counties. And of course, you can find more information about our coalition on page 4 of our submission. We spent the first half of this year preparing and supporting our coalition to engage community members in community of interest input sessions. After 5 months of community engagement, we resulted in over 50 input sessions with over 400 community members across the state. Again, for more details on our COI input sessions, please see our visual and narrative summary of COIs in our Appendix C of our submission. We built off of our community input and launched into 2 months of map drawing that paired the skill of our technical partners with the local knowledge and expertise of our statewide grassroots coalition and community members that they represent, serve, and engage. We also monitored COI hearings and engaged organizations who also represent other key marginalized communities to ensure that we respected other COIs in our maps as much as possible. But most importantly, we conducted weekly regional meetings to review, inform, and improve the district maps that we have submitted to you all with our coalition partners and community members. The Assembly, Senate, and congressional maps that our team will now present is a culmination of the community and coalition input that we've received throughout this year. And while we have drafted and submitted complete statewide maps for state Assembly, Senate, and Congress, and have also included visual and narrative summaries of our COIs, we will not be able to cover all of our COIs in detail or present all of the districts in each of our statewide plans. We will focus today's presentation on key priority districts in our Assembly, Senate, and congressional plans. Again, our plans can be reviewed in their entirety in the materials that we submitted. Again, for time purposes, we are focusing our presentation. I'll now, again, and all of this information on our community and coalition process can also be seen on page 5 of our submission. I'll now pass it to my colleague, Kristen Nimmers, to start us off with our Assembly plan.
Thank you, Commissioners, for your time. Again, my name is Kristen Nimmers. I'm one of the organizing coordinators, specifically working with our coalition members in Northern and Central California. Our Assembly priorities for Northern and Central California are centered around COIs identified by our coalition members in the Bay, Sacramento, and Central Valley. So starting with priorities in the Bay, community members wanted to keep East and West Oakland together and with Emeryville, keep Richmond whole with other communities along the Bay and West Contra Costa, and to keep Bay Point, Pittsburgh, and Antioch together and in a district that connects with Vallejo. Additionally, Oakland did not want to be paired with Piedmont, and the Richmond and Contra Costa districts did not want to be paired with Central Contra Costa areas, including Concord, Orinda, and Moraga. We wanted to create one strong Black CVAP district anchored in Oakland with 25 to 30% Black CVAP and 2 strong Black CVAP districts with 14 to 17% Black CVAP in West Contra Costa, as well as the East Contra Costa Vallejo districts. We also complied with VRA by drawing majority Asian CVAP districts where possible. To start, we'll be covering 3 districts in the Bay, beginning with AD 14. AD 14 keeps COIs in Bay Point, Pittsburgh, Antioch, and Brentwood together and whole and in a district that connects with Vallejo. These communities are predominantly low-income minority communities that face similar issues, are often underserved, and differ from some of the more affluent surrounding communities of Central Contra Costa. In AD 15, we keep Richmond whole and paired with similar communities along the Bay and West Contra Costa, including the Rodeo and Hercules areas, which also face similar issues and are demographically similar. In AD 18, we keep East and West Oakland together in a district that includes Emeryville, a community directly north of Oakland that shares similar interests. And additionally, there are also AAPI COIs throughout Oakland that are kept together in this district, including Chinatown, Fruitvale, Highland Terrace, and a Korean business district in North Oakland. Moving on to Sacramento and the Central Valley, our priorities were to keep Black communities in North Sacramento together and with similar communities in the county. Similarly, to keep Black communities in South Sacramento together and with similar communities in the county. To keep Stockton as whole as possible and not paired with Lodi. To keep hub COIs in Fresno County whole together and in a district with similar communities and not with Clovis. To keep hub COIs in Kings, Tulare, and Kern whole together and in a district with similar communities. And to comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible, while also protecting key COIs. We have 6 key districts in Central Valley and Sacramento, beginning with 87. We keep Black and AAPI COIs in West Sacramento, Natomas, North Highlands, Foothill, Fruit Ridge, Oak Park, and Del Paso Heights together. 89 keeps Black and AAPI COIs in Southwest Sacramento, Florin, Elk Grove, and Meadowview together with as much as Lemon Hill as possible. In AD 12, we keep low-income Black and Latinx communities in South and Southeast Stockton together and paired with surrounding communities of similar interest. We did do a small cut in Tracy to keep API COIs whole and together here, in addition to keeping those Stockton COIs together. And then these community members also did not want to be in a district with Lodi, which is a predominantly affluent white community that does not share their same interests. In AD 31, we created an urban core district in Fresno that connects hub COIs in predominantly urban and inner city areas, which face different issues than many of the surrounding rural and farm working communities. It's also drawn with a majority Latinx CVAP and keeps historic and emerging Black communities in Southwest Fresno, West Park, Old Fig Garden, and Sunnyside together and in a district that connects with Selma. It also protects API communities in West Fresno, Sanger, and Sunnyside, and at the request of those community members, does not pair any of these areas with Clovis. AD 32 keeps urban communities in Lemoore, Hanford, Tulare, Pixley, and Terabella together. Keeping these communities together ensures that the interest of ethnic and inner city communities in the area are protected as they are distinct from agricultural interest in the surrounding communities. Lastly, AD 34 keeps Black COIs in Southeast Bakersfield, Benton, and Cottonwood together, and with similar communities, including API and Latinx COIs in East Bakersfield, Southeast Bakersfield, and portions of Southwest Bakersfield. This district is also drawn with majority Latinx CVAP. And now I'll pass to Natasha to go over Southern California.
Thank you, Kristen. My name is Natasha Brown. I am one of the organizing coordinators specifically working with our coalition members in Southern California. Starting with the Inland Empire, the Assembly priorities were to keep Adelanto and Victorville whole and with other high desert communities. Keep San Bernardino whole and paired with Rialto. Keep Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga, and Ontario as together and as whole as possible. Keep Moreno Valley as whole as possible and paired with San Jacinto and Hemet. Keep whole other COIs in emerging Black communities such as Corona, Banning, Beaumont, Desert Hot Springs, and Palm Springs, and pairing them with similar communities. And lastly, comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible, while also protecting key COIs. There are 5 key districts in the Inland Empire we would like to highlight from our plan. The first district, AD 33, is a majority Latinx CVAP with a Black CVAP of 17%. This district joins COIs in both the Antelope Valley and the high desert communities of Palmdale, Lancaster, Adelanto, and Victorville. There were splits of COIs due to VRA considerations, but we drew this district in consultation with community members to ensure COI respectful splits. The second district, AD 40, includes Rancho Cucamonga whole, as well as Fontana and Ontario, with some city splits to address VRA considerations. This district is drawn with majority Latinx CVAP. The third district, AD 42, is drawn with communities of interest in Desert Hot Springs and Palm Springs. These COIs were grouped with Banning and Beaumont as they were identified as growing and emerging Black communities. AD 47 has a Black CVAP of 16%. This district keeps San Bernardino whole with Rialto, along with parts of Fontana grouped together due to shared concerns around infrastructure, crime rates, food accessibility, and housing these cities share. Careful consideration was taken to protect the Black communities of Fontana. This district is also drawn with a majority Latinx CVAP. And finally, AD 61 is a majority Latinx CVAP district that pairs Moreno Valley and Paris with the emerging Black communities of Hemet and San Jacinto. These communities share similar interests around housing and employment. Moving on to Los Angeles, the Assembly priorities here focus on distributing the Black vote as opposed to packing, as well as keeping COIs whole and together. Our goals were to distribute the Black CVAP between 4 South Los Angeles South Bay districts at about 28 to 32% each, keep hub COIs in South Los Angeles whole with similar communities and out of districts anchored by coastal communities, to keep additional hub COIs in Long Beach, Altadena, and North Hollywood as whole as possible and with similar communities. And we also have a priority in Antelope Valley, which I mentioned previously in the IE section. And lastly, the last priority, to comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible, while also protecting key COIs. The 5 key districts to highlight here in Los Angeles begin with AD 54. It has a Black CVAP of 33.11% and keeps COIs of Leimert Park, Baldwin Hills, and West Adams together as important historical centers of the Black community and not in district with coastal communities. Secondly, AD 59 is a majority Latinx CVAP district and has a Black CVAP of 29.98%. We aimed to keep neighborhoods in this district whole, though there are some splits for population and VRA considerations. AD 62 connects the South Bay and South LA communities of Inglewood, Gardena, and Hawthorne, and includes Harbor Gateway, West Carson, and Carson. The split here of Gardena was reviewed and approved by members of the AAPI community. The 4th district, AD 63, is a majority Latinx CVAP district and has a Black CVAP of 15.39%. Long Beach contains a Black COI, which is east of the 710, south of PCH, and north of 7th Street, as well as the AAPI COI of Cambodia Town. Lastly, AD 64 is a majority Latinx CVAP district with a Black CVAP of 30.38. This district keeps the communities of Watts and Compton together due to similar concerns around gentrification and affordable housing. Moving along to San Diego, the assembly priorities here focus on protecting COIs by keeping them whole and together where possible. We aimed to keep City Heights and Southeast San Diego COIs whole and together, keep Lemon Grove, Spring Valley, La Mesa, and El Cajon COIs with City Heights, Southeast, or other similar communities, keep COIs out of districts with coastal, downtown, or East San Diego communities due to lack of shared interests. And lastly, comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible while protecting key COIs. The key districts in San Diego we'd like to highlight are AD 77, which contains COIs El Cajon and La Mesa. La Mesa is split between AD 77 and 79 to balance population. These COIs are paired with AAPI COIs in the Convoy District, Linda Vista, Kearny Mesa, Claremont Mesa, and Myra Mesa to keep immigrant communities together and not with coastal, downtown, or East San Diego County areas. The second district to highlight, AD 79, has a Black CVAP of 14.73%. This district keeps the COIs of City Heights and Southeast San Diego whole and together while pairing them with Lemon Grove and Spring Valley, growing Black communities. We unify these communities of interest together while keeping nearby Assembly District 80 a majority Latinx CVAP. That concludes the Assembly portion. I'll give it back to Kristen for Senate.
Thank you. Throughout the state, our Senate district priorities were to protect and pair hub COIs in a manner similar to our state assembly plan. And then where possible, we nest assembly districts to create Senate districts and comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts while also protecting key COIs. We also note that in some cases, it wasn't feasible to nest assembly districts while also complying with the VRA. To begin with the Bay, we have 2 Senate districts here. Beginning with SD5, we nest AD 14 and AD 11, joining and keeping whole similar communities in Vallejo, Antioch, Bay Point, Pittsburgh, Brentwood, Fairfield, and Sassoon. In SD8, we nest AD 18 and AD 15, joining and keeping whole similar communities of interest in Oakland, Emeryville, Berkeley, Richmond, Hercules, and Rodeo. Moving on to the Central Valley, we have 4 key Senate districts here, beginning with SD6. We nest AD 9 and 87, joining and keeping whole similar communities of interest throughout Sacramento County, including South Sacramento City, West Sacramento City, Florin, Elk Grove, Lemon Hill, Oak Park, El Paso Heights, Natomas, North Highlands, Foothill, and Fruit Ridge. In SD7, we nest 8012 and 88, keeping Black and Latinx communities in Stockton Hole. In SD14, we nest 8031 and 8026, keeping Black, Latinx, and API COIs in Fresno, Sunnyside, Selma, and Sanger Hole, keeping Merced Hole, as well as additional Latinx farm worker communities in Orange Cove, Parlier, Reedley, and Delray. This district is also drawn with majority Latinx CVAP. In SD17, we nest 8032 and 8034, keeping Black, Latinx, and API COIs in Bakersfield, Tulare, Lemoore, Hanford, Hixley, and Terabella Hole. This district is also drawn with a majority Latinx CVAP. Passing it on to Natasha to continue with Southern California.
Thank you. The Southern California Senate priorities are the same as Kristen described. We aim to protect COIs, nest assembly districts where possible, and comply with the VRA. In the Inland Empire, we'll be highlighting 4 key districts. SD 18 brings together similar emerging desert communities of interest in Desert Hot Springs, Palm Springs, Banning, and Beaumont. SD 19 nests 8042 and 8036, joining similar communities of interest in Antelope Valley with California City. SD 23 is a majority Latinx CVAP district. The Senate district mostly nests 80, 40, and 47, joining similar communities of interest in San Bernardino, Rialto, Fontana, Ontario, and Rancho Cucamonga. Small deviations from nesting occurred to comply with VRA considerations in neighboring districts. Lastly, SD 30 is a majority Latinx CVAP district. The Senate district nests 80, 60, and 61, joining similar communities of interest in Moreno Valley, Hemet, Paris, San Jacinto, Riverside, Eastvale, and Corona. Due to VRA considerations, not all of these COI were kept whole. Moving on to Los Angeles, there are 3 key districts we'll highlight from our plan. SD 29 has a Black CVAP of 31.41%. It nests AD 59 and 54, joining similar communities of interest in downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row, Florence Graham, Leimert Park, Baldwin Hills, and West Adams. SD 31 is a majority Latinx CVAP district, which includes the Black Hub COI in Long Beach. The city of Long Beach is kept mostly whole in the Senate district. However, there were some small splits for population and due to VRA considerations. For example, there is a small split in North Long Beach, but this community is paired with similar communities and Hub COI in an adjacent district. Lastly, SD 33 is a majority Latinx CVAP district with a Black CVAP of 31.05%. It mostly nests AD 62 and 64, joining similar communities of interest in Compton, Watts, Inglewood, Hawthorne, and Carson. Small deviations from nesting occurred here to comply with VRA considerations. Lastly, here in San Diego, the key district we'll highlight is SD 39. SD 39 nests AD 77 and 79, joining similar communities of interest in Southeast San Diego, City Heights, Lemon Grove, Spring Valley, El Cajon, and La Mesa. This district was created to ensure the COIs were kept whole and not in district with coastal, downtown, or East San Diego County communities. Grouping these communities of interest allows for a majority Latinx CVAP district to be drawn in the neighboring district to the south. That concludes the Senate portion. I'll pass it back to Kristen for Congress.
Getting into our congressional maps, beginning with the Bay, our priorities were to maintain a strong Black CVAP of 18 to 22% in a congressional district anchored in Oakland that also brings in Emeryville and Berkeley. We also wanted to bring together Black communities in Richmond, Vallejo, and East Contra Costa that are currently split across multiple districts in the Bay, and ensure that they have a strong political voice in a single district with a Black CVAP at 16 to 20%. Again, we also complied with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible. There are 2 key congressional districts in the Bay, beginning with CD10. We bring together and keep whole Black communities in Richmond, Vallejo, and East Contra Costa, including Bay Point, Pittsburgh, Antioch, and Brentwood. These communities were previously split between 3 different districts, and this configuration pairs interconnected communities in the Bay and East Contra Costa while also meeting community interest and not being paired with Central Contra Costa areas like Concord, Orinda, and Moraga. In CD12, we keep Black, Latinx, and API communities in Oakland, Emeryville, and Berkeley whole and together. In the Central Valley, our priorities were to keep Black communities similar to our assembly plan in North and South Sacramento whole together and with similar communities in the county where possible. We also wanted to keep Stockton whole and with similar communities, to keep hub COIs in Fresno whole together and in a district with similar communities and not with Clovis, to keep COIs in Kings, Tulare, and Kern counties whole together and in a district with similar communities, and to comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible, while also protecting key COIs. There are 4 key congressional districts in the Central Valley, beginning with CD6. In CD6, we created a Sacramento-centered district that keeps Black and API COIs in West Sacramento City, South Sacramento City, Natomas, Fruit Ridge, Lemon Hill, Florin, Oak Park, Del Paso Heights, North Highlands, and Foothill whole and together. There also are additional Black COIs in Elk Grove and Vineyard that aren't included in this configuration due to population, but are placed in CD5, a primarily Sacramento district consisting of other suburban areas that have seen population growth. In CD9, we keep Stockton whole as in other districts and also keep API COIs in Lodi and Manteca whole. Although Stockton didn't want to be paired with Lodi in assembly districts, they are paired here due to API COIs and population considerations. In CD20, we keep Black, Latinx, and API COIs in Fresno, Sunnyside, Selma, and Sanger whole and together, as well as additional Latinx farm worker COIs in Orange Cove, Parlier, Reedley, and Delray together. This district is also drawn with a majority Latinx CVAP. Finally, in CD22, similar to Assembly, we keep Black, Latinx, and API communities in Bakersfield, including Southeast Bakersfield, East Bakersfield, Benton, and Cottonwood. We also keep Tulare, Lemoore, Hanford, Pixley, and Terabella whole. This district is also drawn with a majority Latinx CVAP. And finally, pass it back to Natasha for Southern California.
Thank you. The congressional priorities of the Inland Empire are similar to the aforementioned Assembly priorities. Here we aimed to keep Adelanto and Victorville whole and with other high desert communities, keep San Bernardino whole and paired with Rialto, keep Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga, and Ontario as together and as whole as possible, keep Moreno Valley whole and with as much of Corona as possible, keep COIs in the emerging Black communities of San Jacinto and Hemet together, and either with Moreno Valley or in a district with other hub COIs and similar communities. Keep COIs in the emerging Black communities Banning, Beaumont, Desert Hot Springs, and Palm Springs whole together and with other similar communities. And lastly, comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible, also while protecting our COIs. The 5 key districts will be highlighting in the Inland Empire. Start with CD24. It is a San Bernardino County centered district that brings in some of Riverside County due to VRA considerations. It keeps the emerging desert COIs in Adelanto and Victorville whole and together with Barstow due to similar transportation concerns in relation to the 15 highway. Secondly, CD31 is a majority Latinx CVAP district with a Black CVAP of 13.19%. This district keeps the COIs of San Bernardino and Rialto whole and together. Part of Fontana is grouped into this district due to VRA considerations and the common interests these communities share with San Bernardino and Rialto. Next, CD33 is a majority Latinx CVAP district. This district includes Ontario and communities in Rancho Cucamonga and Fontana, though some splits were required due to VRA considerations here. Moving on to CD38, it is a majority Latinx CVAP district. We were able to respect VRA considerations here while keeping hub COIs in Palm Springs, Desert Hot Springs, Beaumont, and Banning together in this district, with most of our COI in the Hemet and San Jacinto area. This configuration is a change from Assembly, as it allows Hemet to be paired with other hub COIs given the VRA considerations in the area. The last district, CD39, is a majority Latinx CVAP district. This district includes Moreno Valley, Riverside, and Corona, with some splits in order to unify COI and comply with VRA considerations in the area. Moving on to Los Angeles, the congressional priorities here were to keep hub COIs in South LA whole together and within 2 strong South LA based districts with 30 to 35% Black CVAP. To keep hub COIs in Long Beach whole together and in a district with 15 to 20% Black CVAP. Keep COIs in the Black communities of Altadena and North Hollywood whole and in districts with other similar communities. Keep hub COIs in the Antelope Valley whole together and in a district with similar communities. Lastly, comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible, and of course, protecting our key COIs. The 5 districts in Los Angeles that we'll highlight begin with CD25, which keeps the COIs of Palmdale and Lancaster whole and together. These communities are paired with similar communities of interest in California City. Next, CD36 keeps South Los Angeles COIs of downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row, Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw, South Park, and West Adams whole and together in a district with 35.28% Black CVAP. Next, the Congressional District 42 keeps South Los Angeles COIs of Compton, Watts, Inglewood, Gardena, and Hawthorne together in a district with 34.47 Black CVAP. And lastly, CD43 is a majority Latinx CVAP district with a Black CVAP of 16.29%. This district includes the hub COI of Long Beach as well as Carson. And moving on to San Diego. The congressional priorities here were to protect key COIs by keeping them whole, together, and with similar communities. Here we aimed to keep all of City Heights and Southeast San Diego whole and in a district together. Keep Lemon Grove, Spring Valley, La Mesa, and El Cajon COIs with City Heights, Southeast, or similar communities. Keep COIs out of districts with coastal, downtown, or East San Diego County communities. And lastly, comply with the VRA by drawing majority Latinx CVAP districts where possible and protecting our COIs. The districts we'll be highlighting here start with CD51. It pairs identified communities of interest Lemon Grove, Spring Valley, La Mesa, and El Cajon. It also includes AAPI COIs of Myra Mesa, Kearney Mesa, Claremont Mesa, and Linda Vista. CD52 is a majority Latinx CVAP district. Here we included City Heights and Southeast COIs in this district whole to both comply with VRA considerations and help keep key COIs whole and together as much as possible. That concludes the Senate portion of our plan. I will go ahead and pass it on to James.
Thank you, Natasha. So in conclusion, I just wanted to take a moment really to talk about why it's important to get maps right for the Black community, why it's important to protect COIs that are important to Black people, and why it's important to listen to Black voices through the remainder of this process. Now, Black people have played a critical role in the growth and development of California. Black people have led and sparked civil rights and social justice movements, both in the past and in the last several decades, been a key driving economic force, and pushed the state to be the best it can be on a range of issues. And yet, Black communities continue to be the most disproportionately impacted across a wide range of issues, including housing, education, healthcare, economic opportunity, et cetera. For example, Black people are less likely to own a home, more likely to be suspended or expelled from school, and more likely to be incarcerated and subjected to use of force by state actors than any other racial or ethnic group in the state. There are many factors contributing to these conditions, but one of the biggest is the lack of political representation. This state faces many challenges, but too often, Black people have borne the brunt of those challenges. We need more elected officials in the state who are taking these issues seriously and addressing these issues on behalf of the nearly 3 million Black Californians in the state and the tens of millions of others who live in community with those 3 million Black Californians. To be clear, the Black community is growing in California. Black population grew by over 5% over the last 10 years, according to our calculation. The Black population is also becoming more diverse as more Black people identify as multi or biracial throughout the country and in the state of California. We need maps that will ensure Black people are seen, heard, and respected on all 3 levels of government, and even more importantly, maps that will spark action to correct the disparities we experience. The work you do here won't solve all of those problems, but it certainly will set us up to work on our own behalf and in solidarity and coalition with other communities to take action on these issues over the next 10 years. You know, as you've heard, the Black Hub proposal is unique in that it proposes entire plans for Assembly, Senate, and Congressional districts, and again, works to balance multiple ranked criteria and multiple interests. Our maps protect historic Black neighborhoods and recognize emerging communities. Our maps factor in the voting rights considerations and COI priorities and preferences of other communities while protecting key COIs to the Black community throughout the state. And lastly, our maps respect local boundaries and ensure contiguity and compactness to the extent possible, given where those criteria are ranked and what you need to consider. For these reasons, we hope that you'll look closely at our submission and the ways in which we pair communities together, particularly underrepresented communities, and incorporate many of those dynamics in your own maps. What we presented today is just a slice, a key slice, but just a slice of the districts we've drawn. Because of time constraints, we were not able to talk extensively about how we manage the competing interests and dynamics throughout the state on all 3 levels, but we certainly encourage you to take a closer look at our submission, and we'd be happy to answer any questions if you need us to expand on any district configurations and provide more context on why we drew districts in the ways that we did. Finally, on behalf of the entire Black Hub team, thank you for your time, and certainly we wish you all the luck in the tremendous endeavor that you've taken on to draw maps for the entire state of California. We know you certainly have a lot to consider, and we appreciate the opportunity to hear our proposal. We hope that these last few minutes that we're able to give you back will help you get through the rest of the day. So appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Woodson. We definitely need that luck, and we appreciate that extra time. Many thanks to your whole team for this great presentation. Thank you. And I think I did mention previously today, but I'll just give a reminder. I think these slides are different from what was submitted previously. You are welcome to submit the slides by emailing them to the Voters First Act at crc.ca.gov. Thanks so much. Katie?
Yes, Chair. Right now we will have PMI 026, and up next after that is PMI 027. And I'd also like to make the announcement that we will be taking general public comment at the end of the meeting tomorrow. Just for those in the queue, if you have called in, we will be taking the general comments tomorrow at the end of this session. But right now we will be promoting PMI 026. PMI 026, you can now enable your audio and video in the lower left corner of your screen, and your screen sharing will be in the bottom center. And if you'll please share your map before you begin your narrative, the floor will be yours. And we are seeing your presentation. You are not in presentation mode, if that matters to you.
Unmute.
And there you go.
Thank you so much, commissioners. Yes, that's fine. If you don't mind, I'll keep it in this mode. Thank you so much. Hello, commissioners. My name is Myra Castrejon. I am the CEO of the California Charter Schools Association, known as CCSA. Our association represents 1,300 nonprofit charter public schools that educate nearly 700,000 students, most of them low-income students and students of color across the state of California. CCSA takes very seriously the issue of representation in our government and our public school systems. And as part of California's public school family, we want to thank you for your service to the state in ensuring fair and equitable representation for students and families who are in dire need of leaders who will be accountable to the students and families who face multiple risk factors that make them more likely to be left behind by our public education system. CCSA is here to advocate for these families to be considered communities of interest for the purposes of acknowledging the sharp educational inequities that occur in every community. There are indicators of these risk factors that are available to help guide the commission's work as you approach the very challenging task of drawing district lines that sometimes run right through cities, counties, or school districts to better reflect the needs of these communities. We are proposing 5 specific metrics that help define the community of interest of Californians for whom the status quo is failing in the public education space. There are community indicators available to guide you as you examine the most effective way to reflect this community of interest. As you draw the lines, I'd like to briefly touch on why these metrics impact a student's ability to achieve success in K through 12 schools. Metric 1, students of color are more likely to face poverty and also attend high poverty schools that lack the resources to provide a high quality education. These circumstances typically indicate a greater likelihood that their education experience will fail these students, as American Indian, Latinx, and Black students are 130%, 90%, and 51% respectively more likely to drop out of high school than their white counterparts. Immigrant children. The same disadvantage follows immigrant children who are 70% more likely to drop out of high school than students who are born in the United States. Similarly, students classified as English language learners, a key designation made for California students who enter their public education experience having spoken a language other than English at home, are 20% less likely to graduate from high school than the total population of high school students. Another key indicator is whether a student will graduate high school is the educational experience of their parents, as the children of parents who graduate from high school are far more likely to do the same when compared to children's parents without diplomas. Finally, one last indicator, and this is a critical piece of data that we will provide to the Commission for the purposes of identifying the communities that are left behind by our public education system. These are school site level data sets of student performance scores as measured by the California Assessment of Students' Performance and Progress, also known as CASP. Researchers have concluded that the language, racial, ethnic, and economic indicators described correlate directly with student performance on these assessments, and I think you'll recognize that pattern well in the maps that we are sharing with the Commission today. These metrics are available to the public through the American Community Survey, known as ACS. We'll keep sending them to you in a visual format as statewide heat maps, along with the data set that CCSA has developed to identify low-performing schools based on aggregated CAS scores. As commissioners, you'll be asked to make difficult decisions for the purposes of juggling several criteria against each other, especially when it comes to balancing districts for idealized population. The first map we'll be presenting is the Northeast Los Angeles in relation to the cities of Glendale and Burbank as an example of how these variables intersect. The schools on this map have all been assigned a color based on the average student score on the CAS for that school. These scores have been compared to each other and ranked on the basis of a relative 1 to 100 score. The green schools that you see in this map have above average ranking. The orange schools, all those dots across this map, are schools that have a below average ranking. Now, generally speaking, the schools in Glendale and Burbank are ranked higher than the cluster of schools seen south of these cities in Northeast LA, East LA, and downtown LA. Here is a sample map, but with that additional layer provided along with the schools. The green areas in this map indicate the ACS findings of the high school graduation rates for persons aged 25 or older, which is one of the indicators of student success we discussed earlier in the presentation. Green census block groups indicate an above average rate of high school graduates. And of course, orange block groups indicate below average rates of high school graduates. There is a clear relationship in this visualization between lower high school graduation rates of adults and the low performing K-12 schools that serve these communities. In this visualization, we're able to see how assembly districts could be drawn to reflect this divide, along with the same logic that could be applied for state Senate and congressional maps as well. When similarly situated communities are grouped together, they band together electoral power to hold accountable the elected officials for their respective districts. When district maps reflect this community of interest, fixing low-performing schools and addressing the factors that go into creating these situations becomes a priority for the elected officials in this area. I mentioned also that language is an indicator. In this visualization, you'll see the block groups where the ACS language other than English is above average and runs across both districts. A closer look at this data set differentiates the blue patches, which are Indo-European and reflect the high concentration of Armenian language speakers in Glendale, and the magenta schools, which are Spanish. This differentiation between the two language groups is another illustration of how this region can have lines reflecting these communities of interest. This visualization highlights all of the census block groups where the Latino citizen voting age population exceeds 50%. The same proposed assembly district labeled AD Nella is drawn with a 53.4% Latino citizen voting age population. Let's move to the second set of maps near Monterey County, which until recently was subject to Section 5 of the VRA and drawn to comply with these requirements. We applied the very same visualization to this region as well. A cluster of low-performing schools exists in the Salinas Valley along the 101 corridor towards the south end of Monterey County. This visualization provides the high school graduation rate metric along with the school sites, and you can see the very clear relationship between the two. Communities are across the Santa Cruz Mountains, the city of Santa Cruz and the north end of Monterey Bay perform significantly better than average with these metrics, as do the cities of Monterey, Pacific Grove, and Carmel toward the south end of the Monterey Bay. Meanwhile, the orange schools and census blocks are clustered from Gilroy and Santa Clara County down to Watsonville and Santa Cruz County and into the Salinas Valley and down towards King City in Monterey County. In this visualization, we're able to see how assembly districts could be drawn to reflect this divide. We would suggest that this part of the assembly map be drawn in this manner to recognize the Salinas Valley community of interest when it comes to these student achievement indicators. When district maps reflect this community of interest, fixing low-performing schools and addressing the factors that go into creating these situations becomes a priority for the elected officials in this area. And the Salinas Valley Assembly District we are proposing would comply with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, as it has 52.1% Latino citizen voting age population. Our third example is Fresno, with a very busy mass of both orange and green schools on this map. And you can see again that below average orange schools make up the significant majority of schools on the western side of the city and west of Highway 99. The above area, let me try that one more time. Above average green schools are clustered on the eastern side of the city and the county. We are proposing assembly districts in this area to be drawn north to south in order to better reflect these communities of interest. The high school graduation layer also shows communities in the southeast city of San Diego and Lemon Grove sorry, I lost my place here, that also have fewer than average adult age high school graduates located between the Interstate 8 communities and Chula Vista in the maps related to San Diego that we submitted for your consideration. The San Diego Left District would include the mostly Latino communities from City Heights south to include the southern portion of San Diego City Council District 9 in the entirety of San Diego City Council District 8, National City, West Chula Vista, and Imperial Beach. The San Diego Right District would include La Mesa, Lemon Grove, San Diego City District Council 4, Spring Valley, Bonita, and East Chula Vista. This configuration of assembly districts would be splitting the boundaries of the cities of San Diego and Chula Vista, but it does so with these strong state policy considerations in mind. When accounting for language, these proposed lines assign the majority of block groups where a language other than English is spoken to the San Diego Left District. Additionally, the San Diego Left has the overwhelming concentration of Latino majority minority block groups and an overall Latino citizen voting age population of 56.6%. To conclude, when taking the language, high school graduation rates, school performance, and ethnic citizen voting age population data into account, we believe this is the most prudent division of assembly districts across the city and county boundaries that the Commission can make for San Diego County, South Bay, Fresno County, Monterey County, and Northeast Los Angeles. These examples are not the limits of how we ask you to consider these regions, but rather just a few examples of how the Commission can consider relevant data sets to protect the interests of students and parents who are most likely at risk to be left behind in our public education system. For your further consideration, we will be submitting statewide and regional heat maps illustrating communities that fall above and below the median rates for these indicators, as well as pin maps that show the locations of schools and whether average student performance on the CASP assessment falls above or below the state median. Additionally, we acknowledge that only assembly districts were presented today, but want to ask that you also make the same considerations when determining how Senate and congressional districts should be organized across city and county boundaries as well. Thank you so much, Commissioners, for your time today. CCSA will be submitting these data sets and maps discussed in today's presentation to the Commissioners for your consideration. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Katie?
Yes, Chair. Right now we will have PMI 027, and then up next after that will be PMI 028A and PMI 028B. PMI 027, I will be promoting you now. PMI 027, you can now enable your audio and video in the lower left corner of your screen, and your screen sharing is in the bottom center. If you will please share your map prior to beginning your narrative, we will begin your time.
All right, hopefully you can see my screen and hear me.
We sure can. The floor is yours.
All right, fantastic. Let me get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Jeremy Payne, Associate Program Director of Equality California. I'm here to present on our LGBTQ+ unity maps that Equality California has prepared today. As I always do, a little bit about Equality California. We are the nation's largest statewide lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ plus civil rights organization with over 900,000 members. And I'm here to present on our LGBTQ plus community maps, which identify the geographically connected LGBTQ plus communities in Sacramento, the Bay Area, Los Angeles, Long Beach, Coachella Valley, and San Diego specifically. These maps recommend district lines that will best unify our LGBTQ plus community and of course empower them to elect candidates of choice, both candidates who are LGBTQ plus themselves or candidates who are responsive to the LGBTQ plus community's needs. When developing these maps, our data was informed from membership data of local, state, and national LGBTQ plus organizations that all worked in a collaborative effort to make sure that the LGBTQ plus community was heard and to continue the historic precedent of LGBTQ plus input in California's redistricting process. Early on, I mentioned the Harvey Milk history lesson being the first openly gay man to serve as an elected official in California. And that was in thanks due to fair and equitable redistricting in San Francisco back in the 1970s. So we like to continue that legacy in California. And so what I'll be presenting on is each of those regions. I'll first show a heat map that shows our LGBTQ plus community and our supporter index. Of course, with the density shown in darker colors, and then I'll overlay that with our Congressional, Senate, and Assembly recommendations. In my packet, there are boundary lines that show the neighborhoods. I won't be going over that in detail, but that is included in the presentation that I have submitted to the Voter Rights Act email. So starting first with Sacramento, we'll see our first heat map of the Sacramento region, the Sacramento LGBTQ plus community being concentrated in the downtown Midtown area that has seen elected officials such as Councilmember Steve Hansen, who formerly served in the Midtown area as it was recently redrawn in the 2011 redistricting cycle to make it an LGBTQ plus Lavender Heights district. So for our congressional districts, we like to keep that LGBTQ plus community at the core of our congressional district and build outwards, including our West Sacramento and our Eastern Sacramento regions, where we're starting to see a population growth out into the suburbs or surrounding communities of the downtown Sacramento area. So this is the neighborhood maps I will be skipping, but this will be included in the packet for review after my presentation. Our assembly districts are very similar to our congressional districts, of course, keeping that downtown LGBTQ plus community at the center, and then building out to include West Sacramento, as well as our Eastern Sacramento regions here, including many of the neighborhoods. And as we go to our Senate district, you'll see that it is again very similar for the Sacramento region. Thankfully, because of population sizes, we're able to draw a Senate district that empowers the LGBTQ plus community, bringing in that LGBTQ plus community of interest in the West Sacramento region, and also being able to extend down into Elk Grove slightly over here, where we're starting to see many LGBTQ plus residents that are now identifying as supporters or members of the community and building into the kind of larger overall LGBTQ plus empowerment in the Sacramento region. And now I'm going to carry us over into the Bay Area. I like to separate it into three separate regions. I'm going to focus on the East Bay, San Francisco region, and then the South Bay. First, I'm going to start with the East Bay, talking about the history of electing LGBTQ plus candidates, especially at the local level. And there is the Oakland Pride Festival, as well as the LGBTQ plus center in the city of Oakland that has long served many of the members that you'll see on our heat map that live pretty much throughout the entire region of the East Bay. Often overlooked, not talked about, but there is a large concentration of LGBTQ plus folks and supporters in the East Bay. And we're fortunate to be able to draw a congressional district that nicely encapsulates pretty much the entire LGBTQ plus concentration here. But of course, Alameda County is a little bit larger than one congressional district. So there are a little bit of slivers that had to be cut out. And we focused on making sure that we kept the concentration at the core. For our assembly districts, you do see three assembly districts here. It's not one mega assembly district. We have District A up here that includes the Richmond area that we didn't see in the original heat map, but there is a large concentration of LGBTQ plus folks here that extends, of course, through that Berkeley and then Oakland suburbs, including Piedmont here. And then we're able to create an Oakland Assembly District, that's District B, that includes downtown Oakland through San Leandro and San Lorenzo down here, following the natural water line. And then we'll get to District C when I cross over into San Francisco. But first, let me show you the Senate district recommendation that we have as well that fully captures the LGBTQ plus community of the East Bay with Alameda County, the Berkeley, Oakland, Piedmont, up into Richmond, and then the surrounding Contra Costa County region. So now I want to head over across the bay into San Francisco, where I started our story with Harvey Milk, and of course in the Castro neighborhood, that it's been an iconic LGBTQ plus neighborhood. We've also seen many severally openly LGBTQ plus candidates serve at the local, state level here, especially in the Castro and surrounding neighborhoods that head east and northeast in the San Francisco region. When it comes to our congressional districts, we're able to nicely draw a congressional district that almost fully captures the county of San Francisco, but our congressional district does capture the bulk of our LGBTQ plus community with respect to the Castro and surrounding neighborhoods, east and northeast here. And then for our assembly district, we're able to kind of be a little bit more of a fine cut of the LGBTQ plus community with our Castro surrounding neighborhoods as we head east and then northeast in the San Francisco region, keeping many of the supervisory districts that were iconic and held by LGBTQ plus candidates. Again, of course, because we want to respect the natural municipal lines of our districts when drawing our recommendations. For our Senate districts, we do dip into a larger region here that includes the northern tip of San Mateo County. That's just given the population requirements of our Senate districts that are quite large in California. So we do see a Senate district that is still an LGBTQ plus empowerment district because it keeps the core of our San Francisco LGBTQ plus community together with, of course, some of the LGBTQ plus friendly regions of San Mateo County. And now I'll do the South Bay. We're in San Jose, as well as our surrounding cities. We have seen openly LGBTQ plus representatives serve in the state legislature, as well as at the local level. And this region is, of course, has been very supportive of LGBTQ plus candidates at the local level, as well throughout the Silicon Valley Pass, which creates kind of a nice belt of LGBTQ plus supporters from downtown San Jose, where we have the Billy DeFrank LGBT Center, all the way up to Palo Alto and the Stanford region, including pretty much all of Santa Clara County, into one congressional district that we're able to nicely draw. So this is a nice congressional district that just makes sure that we keep as many of our LGBTQ plus communities of interest together as one rather than separating them significantly throughout the redistricting process. We're able to draw a Senate district that also resembles much of that nice kind of beltway of the South Bay, with San Jose here leading to Palo Alto and the Stanford region. We don't have an assembly district recommendation for this, but I will just drop us down to Southern California so we can start talking about Los Angeles and LA County as a whole. As you can imagine, a very large and robust, geographically spread out LGBTQ plus community, as you can see on our heat map. But there is essentially a geographic connection as we have our Silver Lake region, of course, the Black Cat Tavern riot of 1967. That's been a big moment in the LGBTQ plus liberation movement. And that connects with the southern San Fernando Valley that is growing with population kind of move out of the urban areas into more suburbs, especially with our LGBTQ plus community, our iconic West Hollywood region, and that spills out into the Pacific Ocean and follows our natural waterway through El Segundo, Redondo Beach, and Torrance, and then the RPV down here. So we're not able to draw that all into one congressional district, so we do have two congressional district recommendations with the dividing line along this Beverly Hills divider. We have an inland LGBTQ plus community of interest that empowers this West Hollywood, Silver Lake, and the new South San Fernando Valley LGBTQ plus area. And we have a West Side coastal LGBTQ plus community of interest that is tied to our ecological communities here, extending from Malibu all the way down to RPV, including Torrance, including our Marina Del Rey and Venice as a high LGBTQ plus density, as well as our Pacific Palisades over here of Santa Monica. For our assembly districts, it's very similar where we have to draw a dividing line throughout Beverly Hills and then create this core inland LGBTQ plus assembly district, keeping our southern San Fernando Valley, our Silver Lake, Los Feliz, and Echo Park, and our West Hollywood, and then our west side coastal community of Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Santa Monica, Venice, and Marina Del Rey region, keeping our community nicely together. And then for our Senate district, we're able to kind of jointly put this all together into one district that bridges the LGBTQ plus community throughout the entire LA County region. And I'd be remiss not to mention Long Beach when talking about LA County's LGBTQ plus community, but I wanted to bring attention to it separately because of the nice geographic breakdown of the LGBTQ plus community that is pretty much within the full boundaries of the city, but primarily concentrated in the downtown Alamitos Beach, Belmont Shore, and the 4th Street Row Retro Row area where the Long Beach Center is located, the LGBTQ Center. So for our congressional districts, we're able to almost keep Long Beach whole, which has been a priority given that the LGBTQ plus population is widely spread out throughout the city. And we have connected that with Signal Hill, Lakewood, Cypress, Seal Beach, and Huntington Beach, making sure that we understand the congressional interest of the ecological preservation of the coastline and bringing that into other coastal communities and understanding that these two cities here, Long Beach and Huntington Beach, have been able to locally elect LGBTQ plus candidates. When it comes to our assembly districts, we're able to just draw, again, an assembly district that almost fully captures all the city of Long Beach boundaries of this region here, but again, ties it into the Seal Beach, Cypress, Signal Hill area, making sure that we keep Long Beach as whole as possible, understanding the breakdown of the LGBTQ plus community heat map. And then for our Senate district, we are able to pretty much get all of Long Beach together and then start to bridge that northwards into inland LA County, South LA, bringing in some of our South LA LGBTQ plus communities that are often overlooked, but without infringing on our VRA considerations of some of our partners. So this is how we're able to configure that to best accommodate the LGBTQ plus community with our intersectional identities. I'm now going to hop over to the Coachella Valley, primarily talking about the Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, Cathedral City, Palm Desert, and Indio region that has long been a long-standing LGBTQ plus community. Here we see a heat map that's a little bit zoomed out, but it shows the heavy concentration of LGBTQ plus folks in this Coachella Valley that extends outwards into the desert communities. So when we're drawing a congressional district, we do have to draw a very large, but we are thankful to be able to draw this in connection to Imperial County, and that is because El Centro has its own LGBT center, but works closely with our Coachella Valley in terms of health services for our trans and gender nonconforming community. So it's great to be able to connect that interest here to empower both of these LGBTQ plus communities that may seem geographically divided, but are united in some of the services that they seek. For our assembly districts, we are able to focus on the Coachella Valley, draw an assembly district that no longer divides this community and the LGBTQ plus community in half, but brings it all together into one greater Coachella Valley and Desert Communities Assembly District. And for our Senate district, we're able to do that as well, making sure that we keep everything whole and then bringing that out into Blythe, Needles, 29 Palms, making sure that we have the desert communities included into a more understanding and accurate representation of what this community interest lies in. And it's great to see the LGBTQ plus community centered there. And similar to San Francisco, San Diego has seen much success in LGBTQ plus leadership thanks to fair and equitable redistricting. Very recently, we have seen many LGBTQ plus leaders, as been seen here. And much of that has been because of the region of the Hillcrest and the surrounding Balboa Park neighborhoods of University Heights, North Park, Golden Hills, South Park. Essentially everything that encapsulates the Balboa Park region has been an incubator for LGBTQ plus mobilization and civic leadership. And so when we were drawing LGBTQ plus districts that empower the community, we have a congressional district that extends eastward, capturing the full LGBTQ plus community of this Hillcrest, University Heights, North Park region, and extends into La Mesa and Chula Vista without too much infringing on our Latinx population that is going to be kind of formed here in the VRA districts. And then for our assembly districts, we're able to extend westward, again, making sure that we protect our Latinx districts and not infringe there, but still understanding the intersectional identities of the LGBTQ plus community and our racial and ethnic backgrounds. But we extend westward, including Del Mar, Coronado, and Imperial Beach for our assembly district. And I'll quickly just jump to Senate districts. I heard a time call out. So with our Senate districts, again, we keep the core LGBTQ plus community held completely together and extend throughout most of the natural city boundaries of the city of San Diego. And so that is my presentation of our LGBTQ plus community maps. And we hope the 2021 Redistricting Commission continues to recognize the LGBTQ plus community as a community of interest. And thank you so much for your time and wish you all the luck as you continue to draw your lines.
Thank you so much for that great presentation. And as a reminder, you're welcome to send the slides if you'd like to see them posted to our email, votersfirstact@crc.ca.gov. Thanks so much. Katie?
Wonderful. Now we have PMI 028A and B. I will be promoting you both now. PMI028A, I do see you have activated your camera. If you would please share your presentation prior to beginning your narrative, this will begin your time. And PMI02B28B, you can now enable your audio and video in the lower left corner of your screen. And whoever, perfect. Oh.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm trying to get the presentation.
Oh, you're perfect.
I had it open on my screen.
We are a little ahead of schedule, so please do not feel rushed.
Okay, thank you. No. Sorry, it's hiding.
It always is.
Joyce, would you be able to share it?
I can try.
Okay. Sorry about this. I had it all ready. I don't want to be. There it is. I can. Here it is.
Do you have it?
We do see it. Sierra Nevada COI. Oh,
Can
there you go.
everyone see that?
We sure can, and you are in presentation mode. The floor is yours.
Great. So, Joyce, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you all for allowing us to have this opportunity. I'm Joyce Kaufman. I live in June Lake in Mono County, and I'll be joined by my colleague, Chris Bupser, who lives in Mammoth Lakes in Mono County. We have spoken to this group before and really want to thank you for listening and really hearing our concerns about the Assembly District. We especially support visualization ADBECA, which includes the counties we think are part of our community of interest, and in our written and oral comments in July and August provided the rationale for saying so. Our main concerns today are regarding the visualizations for the Congressional District for a number of reasons. I will review some of them, and my colleague Chris Bupser will then continue. With all due respect, the two visualizations, CDAECA and CDBECA, do not represent what we consider to be acceptable given our needs. As you can see, both of them include Kern County. And while the first, that is CDAECA, only includes a portion of the county, it's important to remember there is little that Kern County has in common with Mono County and the other counties on the Sierra Crest and to the east of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Kern is an area of large industrial farming, which we do not have here. And since it's separated from us by a mountain range, it's not really contiguous. In our written and oral comments before this commission in July and August, we stressed the importance of staying with a community of interest that reflects who we are and our priorities and needs. Placing us in an area where the main population center is in the Central Valley would virtually ensure that any representative is unaware of and not responsive to our needs. Now, for some particulars as to why we say that. First, business. Most of the businesses in the area that form our community of interest east of the crest of the Sierra Nevada mountains are small and depend on tourism. This is very different from the economy of Kern County and also San Bernardino, which we had been part of. We think that it is important we are in a congressional district with other counties that have a similar economic structure and concerns and appreciate what it means to be an area dependent on recreation and tourism. Second, broadband. Because of our rural nature, access to broadband is critical. As we note in our written comments to the commission, the pandemic exposed the inequities and injustices we have had to live with regarding broadband. Next, healthcare. One of the major issues we face in our area of the Eastern Sierra is access to healthcare, especially specialty care. With the pandemic, there is growing emphasis on telemedicine, which assumes reliable broadband, a problem I just mentioned. For trauma and emergency needs, many of our residents are medevac to Reno, which brings with it other issues, especially for people who have health care through Medi-Cal, which is not accepted in Nevada. I raised this issue at a town hall meeting with our current member of Congress, and he responded by talking about the need to raise Medi-Cal payments, not realizing that the critical issue was one of crossing state lines, something that could be addressed by a member of Congress working with colleagues in Nevada and somebody who understands what our needs and requirements are. My colleague, Chris Bupser, will now address our other concerns. Chris? Chris, you're muted.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the members of the commission. I'd like to refer to the map that we submitted for discussion, and it's shown on the screen as well. While we realize that this map doesn't approach the roughly 800,000 people needed for a full congressional district, it's imperative that the seat of a congressional district drawn for the Sierra is accessible to and focused on the communities that are economically driven by tourism and recreation. Anyone representing this area needs to understand the challenges of stewardship of regions that are composed largely of federal lands. One of the challenges for the people of the Sierra is the lack of east-west transportation corridors.
30 seconds for me.
Okay. The Sierra has no drivable passes south of routes 50 in El Dorado and Placer counties for 6 months of the year. So we're not contiguous with Madera and Fresno counties. We use Reno as a transportation hub. So while it may seem reasonable to combine the Central Sierra with Kern County based on the accessibility through Highway 14 and 58 through Tehachapi, that skirts the bottom of the Sierra, is much more a part of the Central Valley. So while it seems to solve a transport
I think we've run out of time. Thank you so much, Ms. Kaufman and Ms. Boxer. Again, you're welcome to send in additional information through our email address. Katie, do we have one more? Is that it?
That is all of our appointments for today, Chair.
Very good. Thank you. I was unprepared for this. Do we go to a break right now? Yeah. Are we at 2:30? All right, perfect. Then we will go to a 15-minute break. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the California Citizens Redistricting Commission as we continue our discussion around the public map input sessions. We are nearing completion of 2 days of receiving public map ideas from folks with appointments. In this last hour and a half, we have some time as a commission to discuss some of what we have seen, as well as to provide any additional direction to our line drawing team as they prepare our next set of visualizations, which will be full statewide plans for next week. So with that, I'm going to open it up to commissioners if anyone has any discussion or direction to line drawers. Thank you. Commissioner Achman.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to everyone who took the time out to give 2 full days of presentations, a lot of information. I just had a quick question, and I'm not sure who this question goes to, but will we get these visualizations, what was the word you used? Plans, in advance of next week's meeting to review?
I think the plan is always to have the visualizations at least 24 hours in advance, but Karin and your team, if you want to give more specifics.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner Ahmed. And thank you, Chair Sagwani. Yes, we will have the plans available at least 24 hours in advance, and they will be on the website, and we will be working with Alvaro's team to make sure that they're a little bit easier accessible and better sorted than last time.
Great, thank you for that. Commissioner Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I'm really glad, really just appreciate the input that we've received over the last couple of days. And I'm wondering to the line drawers on our maps, that was the ADBS, I think Tracy, I think I captured earlier. Regardless of the area that I'm looking at in the Central Valley, I'm interested in seeing just a visualization or a plan that would include kind of the east-west split of an assembly in the San Joaquin area. I thought it was intriguing because ours is not quite that way. I'd like to see what it looks like to split eastern and the rural areas. And then also the west area for those two. So I'd like to see that if you can. And with the exclusion of Mountain House, I think our show everything except for excluding Mountain House and keeping everything else whole. So if I can see that, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to have to, I do see where all of the submissions are. I'll look at them a little bit more and see some of the other areas, particularly that was given over the last couple of days. But that's what I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Yee.
Thank you, Chair. Let's see, let me share a screen. Was interested in one of the Black Census and Redistricting Hub's assembly districts and interested in what they did with Vallejo. So we keep bouncing Vallejo around, Solano County, Napa County. I'm not recalling whether we tried anything like this. And so I just don't recall. I just found it very interesting possibility. And I think there was also a Senate district perhaps that went all the way to Richmond as well. So yeah, I'd just like to explore that more somehow. I'm sorry, I'm not recalling exactly where we had landed thus far, but I thought this added an interesting possibility.
Thank you for that. I included myself in this lineup with a raised hand, so I'll take my opportunity. And mine is a very general feedback to the line drawing team. We've received actually some significant VRA analysis from other groups. Some of it looks somewhat similar to the analysis that our team has been doing. Some of it's a little bit different. And in certain areas, drawing additional districts and I know our analysis is still preliminary, but drawing additional districts in areas that I don't believe we were planning to draw necessarily. So I just my request is that the line drawing team works with the VRA team, with Dr. Gall. I know you already are, but to review some of the submissions that have come in and compare it to our own analysis. And next week, whether or not it's entirely incorporated into the maps for next week, but at least to help us understand where there might be differences between our own analysis and the analyses that are coming in, and why that might be, right? If there are differences, it would be helpful to learn a little bit more about why we're seeing variation in that regard. Other commissioners with other comments or feedback for the line drawing team, or any discussion? Even Commissioner Fornashari.
Yeah, just something that struck me. It's not really a direction or anything, but two of the groups that presented today got South Bakersfield, and then they went east around Bakersfield instead of west. And I just thought that was interesting. I didn't recall seeing that in any of our maps, and I don't know if that makes any sense or helps or, or anything, but it was just a difference that I don't recall seeing on our maps. And I just want to share it.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. I know I said I was going to hold my questions until next week, but I just wanted to see if, I don't know if Kennedy's there, but Corin and the line drawers, if you can, we did receive some very good information from the floodplain for Sacramento. That was the Sacramento American River. And yes, I would personally be underwater if it wasn't for the wonderful work that they're doing. So I just want to make sure that we're hopefully they are in one district. It probably has to be split, but I'm just curious as to the Senate and Congressional, because they are doing great work to keep us afloat, literally. So if you can just look at that, that'd be great. I think we did, but please confirm.
I'm sorry, may you specify the region? You said in Sacramento.
I'm
but
sorry,
where?
yes, it is Sacramento, and it was actually 18, so it was our number 18.
Oh, okay.
So and he had a map that shows the specific floodplain area, so that should hopefully help. If not, can you let me know and I can forward that to you?
Okay, I will look that up.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Any additional comments or directions for line drawers from commissioners? Commissioner Turner.
Thank you. Yes, I was so glad to see Kennedy pop up because she's such our expert for this area. And I just didn't know, I was trying to flip between our maps and some of the information that we have on our air table that was presented today. So I'll just ask, Kennedy, that you can recall for our Senate maps in the Central Valley, do they all include, or do we have one already that excludes Galt but includes Lodi?
I will need to take a look to see.
Okay.
And that is with Stockton?
With
or
San Joaquin.
With
Yes,
San Joaquin.
with San Joaquin. I think one of the another presenter today, because we go back and forth whether it's going to be Galt on one end or Lodi on the other end, but there was some information today that talked about excluding in our Senate district Galt and including Lodi, Riverbank, Tracy, and parts of Stanislaus, that kept it San Joaquin and portions of Stanislaus as opposed to going into the Bay Area Contra Costa.
I will definitely look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Vasquez.
Yes, thank you. We saw at least a couple presentations over the last couple of days that did split the Antelope Valley, with Palmdale being drawn in with Victor Valley communities, particularly as it relates to the Black voting age population. I'd be curious. I'm curious to know like what those plans sort of envisioned for the surrounding sort of communities around there, particularly like where does Lancaster go, and why, like if they have a justification, because there is a significant population of Black residents in Lancaster as well. So I'm curious to see particularly what happens to Lancaster when those are split up. So thank you. I would love some more analysis on that.
Jamie, did you want to jump in and respond?
Can't hear you.
Don't know why that happens sometimes with my computer. I hope you can hear me now. And just to discuss Antelope Valley, Victor Valley area really quickly, we are right now looking to have those areas together for Senate and Congress. There's not a way to do that in assembly without splitting either or both valleys. And so at this time, not really. Yeah, we're like definitely looking at that closely for Senate and Congress.
Got it. Okay. I think I'd be curious then for a really thorough analysis of the assembly districts where you are not able to keep those communities together. Is that what I heard? That for assembly districts, those portions of those communities may be split up, is what I heard.
If to make an assembly district that joins Antelope Valley and Victor Valley, then either or both of those areas would have to be split.
Got it. Okay.
Just for population purposes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Sinai, were you? No? Commissioner Turner, did you have another comment?
Yeah, thank you. And more so than the line drawers, I just would love to call on the memory of the commissioners in your notes. And so number one, there was something that we kept hearing about as it relates to the Black communities being kept together around Riverside, Paris, Moreno Valley. Do we have visualizations that either support that already, those that know that area, or was that a new kind of rendition? The commissioners remember?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just discussion. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that John isn't on right now, and we can definitely communicate that to him.
And then the other one, and again, just maybe even commissioners will know, I recall, and I was still taking notes when we were looking at potential either CVAP areas or just trying to keep some of the areas together. There was this north-south skinny kind of visualizations that was being presented for us in Los Angeles again. There was the one, and thank you, Commissioner Sinai, I got your maps everywhere that I'm looking at now, just been helpful. But there was the one that spoke about like a Wilmington, Carson, Compton, up to I think as far as Huntington. But my question is right next to it. We've talked a lot about Long Beach, and there was testimony that I cannot make sense of my writing that spoke about Long Beach going north into Signal Hill and up that direction to be able to capture, I don't know if it was API kind of communities of interest or Black or whatever. That's where it gets kind of vague and hazy. Do you all remember that? You do, Commissioner Sinai.
Almost all our requests have been to go north, which to me always feels like west, but north from Long Beach and north from San Pedro. But what was interesting today was that a lot of the testimony was about cutting parts, even though they said San Pedro, they weren't looking at all of San Pedro and they weren't looking at all of Long Beach. And there is a strong, I don't know in numbers, but in history of Black community in Long Beach. And so I think that was part of it. And to answer your other question, I think we did try to capture where the Black communities were in San Bernardino. But what I thought was unique today was that they had a name for that area, the Ebony Triangle or the Ebony. And so I kind of wrote that down just to see, more if that is a cultural, if that is a community, what there is around that community as a community of interest. Because I found that helpful because we had been getting different input from different parts, but this time it had kind of a more cohesive name and
thank you.
As long as I'm on the mic really quick, I just wanted to say thank you to all the groups who presented because it was really helpful to hear the language that they use and how they think about a lot of this. The whole idea of this is based on I was like, well, yeah. And I think sometimes we're hesitant to say, okay, we're basing this one on this one region and expanding from there because we don't want others to feel like left out or whatever because you're prioritizing. But a lot of the language that was used, I wrote down notes just because it helped me think through as we're doing these maps of really anchoring was another one. Because sometimes I feel like I was just taking a lot of COIs that were coming in and trying to put them together without having a base or an anchor or something, but just trying to figure out all the Lego pieces. And now I'm like, okay, we can, just for my mind, it was really helpful. So thank you to the groups out there. And I'm sure the line drawers are very happy to hear that we're learning as we're going along. So thanks.
Any other commissioners that have feedback or specific direction to the line drawers? All right. Seeing none, we are going to pause here for the rest of the day. We will take public comment through our phone system tomorrow at the close of our meeting. Tomorrow we will be back at 9:30 a.m. On Saturday, October 23rd, to continue receiving public map inputs throughout the day. We will again tomorrow afternoon have an opportunity to discuss and provide any direction to the line drawing team in the afternoon, followed by public comment. So we invite you all to join us again tomorrow. It will also be my last meeting tomorrow, serving as your chair before I turn it over to the wonderful Antonio Lamans to take over as chair next week. Looking forward to that. Thank you all. We will stand in recess till tomorrow at 9:30 a.m.